Hey guys, brand new podcast with Chris Porter. First up, Birdie Boy Relapse Tour. We have added shows in Vegas, Phoenix, and Washington, D.C. for my birthday, November 3rd. And we've also added shows September 8th, Red Rocks. That's what's important. Oh, no, and we added shows in Vegas. Oh, I just said that. I'm out of it. I'm fucking out of it. Was back on stage this weekend for the first time, and it was absolutely fucking amazing. Thank you, everyone who came out to the Borgata. There were 4 amazing shows. I had more fun on stage than I've had in in 16 months. So thank you guys. I can't wait to do more of them. Yeah. That's it, right? I mean, I feel like that. Oh, look who's got a mic over there. Happy 30th birthday to Halston Ray.
Oh, thank you very much.
Skibigini.
70.
How do you say your last name?
7E.
7E.
Yeah.
7E.
Like Chloe 70 from Brown Bunny or whatever it's called.
Did you have a good birthday?
I had a blast. I went up to Washington. I went rafting and tubing with my fiance. My dad surprised me. I had all my buddies from high school drive up there, stay in a hotel. It was a blast.
Good for you. 30. I remember when I turned 30, I wasn't drinking. I was sober. I was in a moo-moo. Leanne threw me a birthday party. My sister showed up to surprise me. I had blonde hair and I had no beard.
I can't even picture you like that.
I got a picture. I'll show it to you. It's gross. 30 is the Great Gatsby year. That's when you got to stop lying to yourself.
Yeah. I think I've reached a good point. I think like going into 30, I've already like corrected the mistakes of my early 20s and like just have been trying to be a better person this whole time. And so I feel like I'm in a really good place. And like, I think my 30s are going to be the shit.
The shit. My 30s were very rough. They were very, very rough. 36 started getting better. 36, I got on Travel Channel. 36, 37. 40 was, I felt like I had a footing in life at 40. And at 48, I've never been happier in my entire life. This is the happiest I've ever been. Yeah, 48 is probably the happiest I've ever been. So you have 18 years. I'm
18 more years until I'm
18
happy.
years. You could be my child. I never looked at you that way.
Yeah, technically, right?
I always thought we were the same age. That's odd. So yeah, those are the show. Birdie Boy, happy birthday, Halston.
Thank you very much.
Everyone go give him a follow on Instagram. I'm sure there's a link put a link for that so everyone can go follow you. He's a great musician.
Thank you.
The girls are working out next door. Can you hear it? I hope you can't.
Maybe a little bit.
A little bit. You'll hear cling, cling. Birdie Boy Relapse Tour. Go to bert.com. Adding shows every week. Today's a great podcast. It's a great podcast with the one and only Chris Porter. We drink an entire bottle of Don Julio. It's a 3-hour podcast. We get pretty drunk. I don't think we edited anything out. I don't think we had to. I think we said I don't know. I think we talked about Kid Rock. I think this was before the Kid Rock F-bomb. By the way, I get so confused when I say F-bomb because some people think F-bomb is fuck.
I think F-bomb is fuck.
F word. I was watching Jenna Bush. I know I've talked about this before. I was watching Jenna Bush on the Today Show, and she doesn't say fart. She says F word, which I think is fuck. I was in this elevator with this guy, and I was in this elevator with this guy. I was in this elevator with my husband, and I F worded, and I was like, and I fucked. She goes, no, this other guy came in. And we were like, oh my God. Something like that. I wonder if someone could pull the clip. Not that it fucking matters. Jesus Christ, Bert, get to the podcast. It's a great podcast. You're going to love it. Chris Porter, he is probably one of the funniest dudes working, without a doubt. He's one of the hardest dudes working. He is living his best life. He is hard. You hear that? That's girl power in there. And I'm paying for it just for the record. So, he's super into CrossFit, having a good time, hanging out with his friends, playing music, doing comedy. I'm jealous, man. I watch his Instagram, and he's one of the guys you don't mute. Apparently, someone told me that everyone mutes each other. Someone just deadlifted something. Okay, it sounds like it was Isla. Did you ever think when I built a podcast studio that I'd have a gym next door to it that little girls would be working out in?
No.
So, Yeah, someone told me people go through Instagram and they mute people because they don't want to see their stories. It makes them jealous. I won't tell you who said that, but I thought that was really interesting. I don't mute anybody. I think if anyone's doing good, that inspires me to do better. I can understand why people do mute people. Chris Porter is someone I would never want to mute because I love his Instagram stories. He seems like he's having such a great fucking time all the fucking time. I might smoke a joint tonight.
In honor of Chris's podcast.
In honor of Chris Porter. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, did he have anything to promote?
A Man from Kansas, that special that you just held up.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Man from Kansas. The Great Seal, admit me for free. Special thanks to Mom, Dad, Andy, Brock Porter, TJ Mark Walter, Brian Phillips, Brian Sarkin. Nice. And you for buying this. So go get this album, what is it called? Vinyl.
Yeah.
He's a great guy. I absolutely love him. You're going to love the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Porter. Cheers.
Here's to you, buddy.
Here's to you, man.
Thanks
I'm telling you.
me.
I go back. Are we rolling? I go back. The littlest things in life matter the most to people. And if there's like a life lesson anyone can take away from today, it's that paying a genuine compliment to someone sometimes can hit them at the right time. And you pulled me aside at the store. I'll never forget this as long as I live. Pulled me aside the store and you said, "Hey man, I just watched your special. I just want to tell you it's one of my favorite specials. You did a great job."
Yeah, secret time.
And it was like right when you just start thinking like, what am I doing? Like, what's going on with my career? And it was like a heartfelt. And I was like, dude, I'll never forget that as long as I live. Like little tiny things.
Yeah.
If more people could focus on just doing tiny things to help people, fucking world would be in such a better place.
Well, and I meant it too. Like it's still top 5 for me, man.
Dude, that is the biggest compliment in the world. Yeah. I remember I told you when we worked in Omaha, I've said this over and a million times. I'll keep saying it. You're one of the best fucking comics in the business. You're fucking amazing. You're amazing.
Man. Thank you.
You're amazing.
Well, here's to you.
Cheers, brother.
And I just spilled all. I may be a good comic. I'm a terrible drinker.
Wow, that's nice. What is that?
That is Don Julio 1942. Yeah. Tastes like success, doesn't it?
It does. You know Ron White quit drinking?
Oh, yeah?
Can you believe it?
Well, I guess once you start making it, you kind of go, you know what? Maybe I should not get high off my own supply.
I mean, that guy was a guy that drank, and he drank in a poetic, artistic way.
Yeah, I've always said this. He was like your cool uncle.
Yeah.
Oh, just the way, especially being from Kansas, I had like relatives from Oklahoma, which, they just kind of sat back and told these stories, and they always had a drink in their hand, and just the way they used their vernacular, just their phrasings were so funny. And I just thought he was the epitome of that Southern gentleman-esque.
I remember going to his house doing a podcast with him. He had no idea who I was, and he came in smoking a joint, and he went over and poured a drink for himself, and he said, "All right, we'll do it downstairs." No, like very, very little small talk. Walk downstairs. I'm talking about him like he's dead. He just quit drinking. That's fucking. And then he went to. I think he quit comedy too.
What?
I think he quit comedy. I'm could be mistaken, but when he did Rogan, last time he did Rogan, he said he wasn't. I think it's like, there's a lot of guys that got to a place where they're like, I don't know if I can go back to it.
Yeah. Well, and he had quit comedy before, like right. What I heard,
he had quit comedy.
He had quit comedy right before, and they came and got him for the tour. Because
one guy was difficult.
Yeah, did you hear that story?
I heard that story. One guy was just a pain in the ass.
And you know who it is. We won't say his name.
I don't know who it is.
Oh, I know exactly who it is.
Say his name and I'll edit it out. Just cover your mouth. I don't know him. I know the name. You say that name. I know the name.
Yeah. It was over like a $40. Speaking of small things, it was like a $40 taxi ride. And he made a big stink about not getting this is just what I've heard, urban legend, but he made a stink about, among other things, like a $40 or $50 taxi ride.
Dude, I've worked with people that I've seen fuck up their careers over the dumbest shit.
Yeah.
Where they go it's funny. I'm doing this thing with Leanne. We're working on this project, and she was like, I don't know if it's because we've been in the business so long, but there's certain things I was trying to explain it to Tom without explaining it. I go, it is like a comic who gets to the club and then does the first night and goes, "Where's my check?" And they go, "We give it to you on Sunday."
Yeah.
I go, "I work tonight." And you're like, "Well, we just give it to you on Sunday. That's how it works."
Yeah.
And that's how Leanne's behaving sometimes where I go, "Babe, just calm down, pump your brakes."
Yeah.
Like this isn't,
It'll work itself
You
out.
don't need to overthink this. And it's like the first time you get a deal in the business and you're like, "Am I supposed to get paid for this?"
Yeah.
Like they'll get you the check and you're like, "When do I get?" And then you get done the project and you still haven't gotten paid. You're like, "When does that check show up?" I'm one of those people though, that I just can, it's not easy going. I just am afraid of confrontation.
There's that, but also we both pay people a large chunk of our money to deal with that. And so like, I just put it, if my representatives are like, "Hey man, it's cool, this is how it works," then I'm like, "Cool, man."
Yeah.
Then I'll just, because you've been here before most of the time. It's my first deal.
Yeah.
Especially at that level. You know what I'm saying?
That's the thing is like, I remember the first time I met Will Smith, I had a camera and I was going to have, we were doing a television deal and I was going to get a picture with him. And Bertcast is like, "Papa, if you're going to work with the man, do not ask for a picture the first day you see him." And I was like, "Really?" And then I said, from that time on, I'll never ask a celebrity for a picture. I want to act like I've been there. Mm-hmm. And now I have a bunch of people that I've never gotten pictures with that are like that I would love to have pictures with. Like fucking Lawrence Taylor. I interviewed Lawrence Taylor. I have no fucking recollection. Slash. I partied with Slash in my green room. No fucking Joe Montana. I interviewed Joe Montana and Jerry Rice.
No way.
And Ronnie Lott. And no pictures.
See, that is when, I mean, there's a lot of cool things about it, but hanging out and being friends with Kid Rock has taught me so many things, because that dude will totally take a picture with, like, if he wants to take a picture with you, he will take a picture with you, whether you're Bert Kreischer or whether you're Robert fucking Plant.
Yeah.
And like, he doesn't care. And I'm like, "Yeah, man, if I want to get a picture with you." Also, Brad Williams, kind of the same way. Like, he'll walk up. So, we were in, he and I actually went to a Kid Rock show together, and this girl walked up to me backstage. We were like kind of in the shadows, and she goes, "You having fun?" I was like, "Yeah." "What's your name?" She goes, "Cindy." And I go, "I'm sorry, what was that?" Because I didn't hear it. And she looked at me like I was fucking with her. She goes, "It's Cindy." And a guy about that time walked up to her and goes, "Hey, can I get my photo with you?" And it was fucking Cindy Crawford.
I will, no matter where I am in my life, cheat on my wife with Cindy Crawford. If I get the opportunity, sorry, babe, I'd have to. From
what I saw 2.5 years ago, you would have every right to. She looks amazing.
Cindy Crawford.
But that's when you realize, like, you have to see people in context at least for me.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was just a beautiful older woman. But Brad Williams later that night walked right up to her and was just like, "Hey, can I get my photo with you?" And I'm sure there's like a dwarf pass that you get.
He's got a pass. Everyone's like, "Sure thing, hop up on my lap."
So, but yeah, that's, but then I think I ended up getting my picture with her, but
I wonder how Brad's always been very cool when it comes to language. And if like, whatever, he's always like, whatever, but I think it's because he's a comic. I wonder if Brad's position has changed on people saying midget versus little person versus dwarf versus certain things now that he has a child.
I think with Brad, especially, like, he's intelligent enough to find the context. Also, it's like, if you or I said it because we're really good friends with him, it's one thing. If some stranger keeps saying it, it's just like, I mean, to a much.
You're right. It is context. It's like if a stranger's saying it to him.
Yeah.
I've always felt like that. Like you can tell. Like, I have jokes about when I was just driving here, thinking this is a good way to get into a joke. Things have changed since we've been on quarantine. There's a lot of things you can't say, like these next 5 jokes. Yeah. And then just hammering jokes that you can't tell and just go in with and they're all negative about women. And I don't have any negative feelings about women at all. Sincerely at all. I did.
Yeah.
When I met my wife, I did. But I don't anymore. And I go, part of me is like, I wonder if you can tell that.
Yeah, I think, listen, I've done a lot of hallucinogens with a lot of people, and I'm very much of the thought that there's a vibe. Like everyone has vibes, and when you put out a weird vibe or a good vibe, like people can tell if you're being genuine or not. People can just buy vibes, and I'm sure the FBI have broken them all down into little movements and shit. But to most people, it's just vibes, and that's why. When you tell a story that's 100% true, that it kills way harder than a story that you made up.
Why is that? Why is that?
Again, I think it comes down to something beyond us.
When you say a person's real name in a story, when I go, I was hooking up with the girl, Jenny Powers. Everyone goes, that's a real name.
For sure.
Like that, like you couldn't make that up. By the way, I want to apologize to Jenny Powers. I used
all of them.
I wrote a book and I used everyone's real names. And if you read that book with my Facebook page open next to you, you can see what everyone looks like. And apparently people did and hit her up and was like, and I felt so fucked. And by the way, you know who her ex-husband is a guy I follow. I didn't even put two and two together. A guy I follow on fucking Twitter that's pretty funny. I don't want to put him on blast. You can find out who her
have you talked to her about it?
Yeah.
Is she not cool?
She wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. I mean,
she had every right to not be cool about it.
Yeah.
She was like very casually like, hey, I heard I got a shout out in your book. And as soon as she said that, I went, well, I don't know what I wrote.
Yeah.
Because I that's my problem is like, I don't know what I said. I don't pay attention to what I say.
Yeah,
and
you're
I just
a
talk.
conduit.
Like I just start talking, and that's when I think we're at our funniest is when we're not trying to be funny. We're just being ourselves on podcasts.
Yeah.
And I've said a lot of things about a lot of people. I had Kumail texted me the other day.
Okay.
He's like, I heard you were talking about me. Or no, he goes, is this Bert? And I was like, yeah, who's this? He's like, it's Kumail. And I'm like, oh fuck. And because I'm like, I don't know what I said. I don't I really genuinely, and I know, here's what I know. And this is what I hang my hat on at the end of the day. I know genuinely I'm a good person for the most part.
Yeah.
I also know I like Kumail. Like I know I like him.
For sure.
So I know that I'm not going to say anything shitty. And if I say something shitty, it's a joke where I'm trying to bust balls. Yeah. And he should also know that because he knows I like him. But then he's gotten so much shit, like just back and forth with the fucking body stuff when he got in shape. And then all of a sudden they came after him. And I was like, what the fuck? What I probably did was defend him in that situation. Yeah. And I did. I ended up doing it. But that feeling when you get a phone call and like, hey man, I heard you were talking about me. You're like you talk about Kid Rock, right? Yeah. Here's what I know in my heart. I like Kid Rock. I like Kid Rock. I watched Kid Rock at fucking Sturgis. Had one of the best times on an Indian chief just in the crowd. I had one of the greatest times of my life. One of the best shows I've ever seen. Yeah. I've always dug his vibe. I've always gotten a kick out of him, but you never know what you say on a podcast. And so like, say we meet him and he goes, oh, you're friends with Chris? I go, yeah, my name's Bert. And he goes, Bert Kreischer? I go, yeah. And he goes, oh, my heart sinks. I go, what the fuck did I say about Kid Rock? Because I don't know. By the way, I had the coolest dream about Kid Rock and you the other day. Okay. I've been wanting to tell you this.
Were we riding a dragon?
Nope. We were in a bar. Okay. We were in a bar in like Madison, Wisconsin. But it was like after hours bar where it's just us. And he says, hey man, you're friends with Chris. And I said, yeah. Is he here? He goes, yeah, he's coming in. He's coming in right now. And I went, shut up. And you came in, you go, I got it. And you had a joint. And I went, shut the fuck up. And you're like, oh, you guys met? And you called it, I know his name's not Rob, but Bob. You called him Rob in the dream. You met Bert? And he's like, yeah. And you're like, oh, we're going to have a fucking good time. And he goes, man, Chris has been talking you up. And he takes the joint and he lights it. And as soon as he lit it, my alarm clock went off. And he takes it, hits it, and he goes, oh, you're not going to get that, are you? I looked at both of you guys. I said, I have a really busy day. And he goes, you're going to leave? And I went, yeah. And he goes, fuck. And I woke up and I went, God damn it. I want to be back in that fucking dream.
This is how cool your life is. Even your dreams end cool.
I have really lucid dreams. I had a show on Comedy Central about my dreams, they animated my dreams. I have fucking insane dreams. And I don't know, I'm sure it's some like thyroid thing or something. Or sleep apnea. I don't know what it is, but I have very, very, very lucid dreams. And so sometimes I can realize I'm dreaming and do stuff in them. Like, and I've always been able to my whole life. But then there's periods of my life where my dreams get so intense it's almost like, it's like I've woken up sobbing, crying. I've woken up giggling. I walked into Comedy Central. I told them one dream. And just as like, they were like, give us an example. I go, I have very vivid dreams. And they're like, give us like an example. And I went, do you want like a funny one or a sad one? They're like, give us a funny one. So I tell them a funny one. It's a really good funny one. It's a really good funny one. And then I tell them, and then they go, well, I want to hear a sad one now. And I go, okay, just so you know, you might cry and I might cry.
Yeah.
And they're like, really? So I told them a sad one and we all cried.
Dude, this is how you know you're successful, and the fact that you walked into a Comedy Central meeting, you went, I have dreams. And they were like, go on.
I wasn't that successful at the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was, I just started doing a podcast.
Okay.
What had happened was I was calling Doug Benson and I was leaving my dreams on his answering machine. And then he would play them on his podcast.
Really?
And he wouldn't listen to me, and he never listened to me, just would play them. And people were responding to them, and they were like, some of these dreams were like, I wish I voice recorded all of them, but I don't know where they all are. But like, they were like fucking.
So you want to hear something weird? 80% of my dreams. Now, I remember like places and like whether the dream was intense, but usually when I wake up,
I'm going to keep drinking.
Yeah, please do.
I really enjoyed that tequila. I just got done working out. I want to talk to you about working out because you are fucking killing it. I want to hear about the workout you did, but more importantly, I want to hear about dreams.
Okay. So 80% of my dreams take place in the same hotel.
Oh, I fucking love this.
That apparently I run or have some sort of leadership, but it's a hotel I've never been to.
Is this not fucking? This is maybe one of my favorite things I've ever heard.
But it's the same one every time. It has a large event space that I have nothing. It's never performance based, and it's weird. I can tell the less productive I'm being, the more intense the dreams are, and like the more shit I have to solve. And so it's, for me, it has become like a barometer of like, hey, motherfucker, you need to write more. Just because like I'll wake up from a dream. I was like, oh, I was at the hotel and shit was not right. And I'm like, what's...
I think everyone needs to try to connect with this right now. And I want to hear, because I have the same reoccurring dream.
Oh, okay.
And mine is I'm organizing alligators or crocodiles.
What?
I'm organizing them. Like they've gotten loose and they were all organized at one point, and I've got to put them back in their place.
If I had one dream where I had to organize crocodiles, I would never fucking sleep again. I would become the biggest cokehead you've ever.
I had a dream when I was in 4th grade that didn't let me sleep for a week.
What the hell?
I had a dream in 4th grade that was so intense that it was, and it's interesting. I've since seen similar things online like this with these. I think they're called tonsil stone removals. But what it was some pro wrestlers were running in like a Ringling Barnum Bailey thing.
Okay.
And this guy had a big set of pliers, and he put it around the neck of one of the pro wrestlers, a big bald guy with like George Animal Steel, but hairless.
Okay.
And he squeezed his head, and a bunch of seeds came out of his head, and his head exploded. And it, for whatever reason, it fucked me up, and I had a hard time sleeping for a week.
Wow.
In 4th grade, we had just moved to a new neighborhood, and I had really a really hard time with it, and I couldn't. And then I just forgot about it, and I haven't. But now I'm obsessed with like sunflower seed removals, like seeds, like anything. There's a thing called trypophobia.
Okay.
You ever heard of it?
Nope.
So, God, man, I can't wait till the studio's done and we have a fucking TV up.
Oh,
By the way, we're not even done with the studio. We still have lights to go up. We want to professionally set everything in. But I fucking love this studio.
This is great.
So trypophobia, just so you know what it is, so you can wrap your head around it. Because now, in a weird way, it's trypophobia. It is people who have a fear of things that look like that. By the way,
Okay.
what if I found out you just had it right now? Like that, you're like,
I just
and
run
it's
away.
things that have like holes and seeds in them.
Yeah, okay.
And so here, can you see that for people looking for it? So like there was a period of time where on Facebook, there was a picture of a nipple that had seeds coming out of it. It was an advertisement. I clicked on it every fucking time. I didn't know what trypophobia was, but I clicked on it so much. I was obsessed with it. And I think it's because of that dream, whatever it is, I am obsessed with like, there are these people that go into the back of their throats and they squeeze like their tonsils or something.
Okay.
And these tonsil stones squirt out of them. And like, I can't watch enough of that.
Is this on Easter Island or
Dude,
something?
no, like any dilated pore removal.
Okay.
For me and my daughter Isla and I will pass them back and forth to each other where you're like, oh, like I can't get enough of it. I can't get a fucking enough of it. Yeah. So, but that one dream when in 4th grade kind of fucked me up.
Okay.
And I didn't dream much. I didn't dream much in college. But man, ever since I had kids, my dreams got very, very, very vivid.
And that's drinking, weed, all of it?
I don't know. I
feel like pot suppresses a lot of
That's what
dreams.
they say. The pot
Yeah.
suppresses dreaming.
But also, I think when you start to do it every day for like 15 years, then your body starts to like, no, we're going to dream a little bit.
So wait, tell me about your marijuana intake. 'Cause I just talked to Joey Diaz, who's like, has stepped his back.
Yeah, I had stepped mine back pre-pandemic. I wasn't smoking during the day. And then once the pandemic hit and we had to take 4 months off, I was like, no, I'm going to smoke all day. Like I have nothing to be awake or alert for. I'm alone literally all the time. So yeah, I was just getting high and I think I watched every old concert on YouTube.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would do. It was like I had, because it was like a white collar prison where you like got to stay at your place and like I'd ride my electric skateboard every day, especially at the beginning.
Do you have a boosted board?
It's a Halo board.
Halo board.
Yeah, they call it the Tesla of
fuck.
skateboards. It's a big ass long board. It's a really great board. It does like 24 miles an hour. I used to ride it to the Comedy Store all the time. Laugh Factory was within Halo distance. And
so when the pandemic kicked in, it's funny. When we started doing podcasts, I don't think anyone wanted to talk about pandemic stuff.
Yeah.
Because everyone was like, yeah, let's just. And now I talked to Joey Diaz today for like an hour, and he was so fascinated about the fact that I stopped drinking when the pandemic kicked in.
Yeah.
And I actually have probably gotten healthier this 1 year. This year has probably been physically one of the best years for me. Like I think I'd be dead without this year.
Yeah.
And so
I did semi the same.
Yeah.
Just because like I had to learn how to cook. I stopped, especially when you're on the road like we are. I didn't realize that I needed 3 months off until I got it.
Ooh.
And then
dude, right.
Cause for the last 12 years, I've done 40 to 45 weekends a year.
I tried to explain to someone the other day. I go, yeah, that's just what we do.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, that's how you work. Also, everyone else works 50. That's what I tell people. They're like, how do you work that much? I'm like, literally all the normal people work 50 weeks a year.
I see dudes on planes who also travel and are working a job and work 7 days a week. Like I see dudes who, I sat next to a guy worked on Boeing, and he flew like twice a day going to different places. And I was like, whoa. And then you sit on the real ballers. And I feel like we're in a weird world where it's like, there's a businessman who travels a lot, and we are that businessman, but we also are a different type of businessman. Backpack, sweatshirt,
don't
cool
have to
sneakers.
Be awake on the plane at all.
Don't have to do any work on the plane.
Like those dudes get on the plane and they're like, this is where I catch up and I drink a quad espresso and I answer 72 emails. You and I are like, I just ate 3 edibles and I'm trying to get on the seat before I just pass out. And then most of I just hit 1 million miles on American, and I was like,
oh, for real?
That's a lot of naps.
Wait, I'm trying to on American. Can I tell you, I today I had a tad bit epiphanous moment thinking, I want to get the thought clear. It was, I haven't been traveling for work, meaning like the way we do it, Like I want to preface this to make sure everyone understands. For my entire career, it has been leave Wednesday evening, press on Thursday, one show Thursday, two shows Friday, two shows Saturday, one show Sunday, leave 6 a.m. Monday morning to come home to see my family.
Yeah.
And then exactly do it again over. And if it wasn't Travel Channel was, 2 weeks on, fly on Monday, work to fly, possibly fly, and then for 2 weeks, and then come home for a few days, and then go out, same thing. And you get there's so many comforts in that where you like just little comforts, just little things where you go, oh, I'm going to get,
like the Admirals Club,
like the Admirals Club, or like getting up there and going. And I talked to someone the other day and they're like, you ever made egg salad in the Admirals Club? And I was like, what? And they're like, how they give you hard-boiled eggs sometimes? I was like, yeah. He goes, you never made egg salad? And I went, it literally felt like I missed out on life. Like where I was like, I love egg salad. I love egg salad. I've been doing just eggs with a little salt and pepper, and I was like, fucking, you've been making egg salad this whole time? You just need to run into one guy like that where you go, fuck. But like, I just have rituals. I remember going to the airport one time with my wife. This was probably 2008, right? Where I've been working steady since 2004, probably maybe 2010.
Yeah.
But my wife's unaware of my rituals of how I go through the airport. And you know certain people. You see certain people every morning because that's the time you leave.
Yeah.
I walked in, God rest his soul, Carl at the Admirals Club was my guy. He was from Baltimore. He was good friends with John Heffron too.
Okay.
And he knew we were comics, so we'd talk. And Mark Maron, he knew Mark Maron too.
All right.
And so we go up. I'm with my wife. We're going on vacation. It's the first vacation we've taken. We go up and I see Carl. I go, what's up, Carl? And he goes, Greenie? And I went, yeah. And he opens a Heineken for me. My wife goes, he knows the beer you drink? And he goes, honey, I know all the beers that drinks, and I know what roadie he likes. She goes, you take roadies out of here? And Carl goes, you always got to get him a Traveler Caucasian. He used to make me White Russians in a coffee cup and give them to me. And he goes, here's a Traveler for you. I'll give you a Caucasian. And I would have a White Russian as a coffee, get on the plane, fucking 9 a.m, and have a White Russian sitting in first class. So they didn't serve alcohol at the time. They didn't serve alcohol on first class in American.
Okay.
And it's so funny. There's little things. And I was just telling someone the other day, there's a period where you're like looking to see if you got upgraded. And so like you'd be out to dinner with your family on Wednesday night going like, I'm leaving tonight. Like looking at your phone, and my wife's like, the fuck you doing? I go, I'm checking on my upgrade. She's like, and
because it completely changes your day.
Oh,
it completely changes your day.
It changes my whole week.
Yeah.
It would make that evening better.
Yeah.
That next day better. And today I was thinking, I was like, and I haven't traveled for stand-up like the way we do in a while. Like a while.
You started doing the bus, which is the dream.
It's the dream. And it's the best thing ever. And by the way, I wish I could gift that to every comic because it makes your life so much. I'm being dead serious when I say this. And I'm not blowing smoke up. I'm not trying to fluff or anything.
Yeah.
I wish I could gift every comic the experience just once, so that they could go, oh, this is legit, man. This is a treat. Like, this is a treat. Just, I'm actually trying to do it. But just where you go, like, let's do a big tour. We'll get a couple buses and we'll all go and do some big venues and we're going to have a great time. We're going to have a blast.
Yeah.
So that everyone goes. And then all of us share our secrets of how we're selling tickets, of how we're moving merch, of like that is so, there's certain things that are so valuable in this business where I go, let's do like 2 weeks, 3 weeks where we just all leave out of LA, fucking do a little big run, bunch of us, like 12 comics.
Oh, that'd be sweet.
Oh, it'd be fucking badass.
Yeah,
but
it'd be a tight bus.
We get 2 buses.
Yeah,
2 buses.
Because they'll do a bus with 12 bunks.
Oh yeah.
It's super. They call it like coffins or something. I got to ride around on a couple of Chris Robinson's buses, including the Black Crowes bus, and it's like from day one because you're basically like pirates. It's as close to being pirates as you can be because you're just this group of people, guys and girls, just all together. And like, if someone comes on the bus, you're going to have to fuck them up. And it's just like this amazing thing where, and also there's a living room. It's like your house. It's literally some of my best memories are all on tour buses.
Oh, it's the greatest. I would love to do. I wish you could do like a Warped tour where you had like a band and then you had some comics and then you had like some other alternative acts, like almost like a Lollapalooza.
Well, I think you can, and I think we're getting closer to that mainly because comedy and music is becoming so closely integrated. I mean, especially with people like Dean Del Rey and Bill Burr and myself, that you just become friends because they're as big of fans of you as you are of them, sometimes more so.
I remember running into Fred Durst, and by the way, like this, I was as big a Limp Bizkit fan as you're going to find.
That tracks.
Korn,
yeah.
Limp Bizkit. I mean, when Limp Bizkit came out, I actually said to friends,
yeah,
that was the music I wanted to make. Like when they did, I was like, that is my sensibility. That is everything. I actually pitched to my band when I was in college. Yeah. We need to do like a mashup of like, get a DJ and do a mashup of hip hop. And everyone's like, the fuck are you talking about? Yeah. They're like, we need to be Jane's Addiction. I was like, we're never going to be Jane's Addiction.
Geniuses are never understood in their time.
I'm telling you, I'm at Sebastian's show and Fred Durst comes up and he's like, hey man, big fan. And I went,
you owe me so much.
I had to stop and go like, you don't know what that just means to me. You have no idea. You have no idea what that means to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm the fucking, like, you're my guy.
So how I met Kid Rock, right?
No, I don't.
Okay, so I get a call from my agent going, hey, do you want to do a Kid Rock? So I had already done a Carnival cruise.
Yeah.
Like there was a year, I think it was 2011, where literally the Improv's called and like, we're not going to book Chris this year.
I remember that. I remember that year because I remember, I want to say this. You, and Ian Bagg got the same offer where it was like, we're cutting your money.
Yeah.
Either that or we won't book you. And I think you were the one that was like, all right.
Yeah.
And I think Ian might have said, all right, also. And I was like, I'll take less money because I had kids.
Yeah.
I took less money. I think about that phone call. Dude, I remember getting that phone call. I can tell you where I was on the bed.
I can too. Well, I wasn't on your bed, but I was at the Warren Haynes Christmas Jam, about to have like the time of my, like we were at dinner getting ready to walk in and my manager called and was like, yeah, you're probably not going to make any money this year. And it was
the phone call I got.
Yeah. And he was like, we're not taking this money. He was like, and what ended up happening was it was a shit year, but I ended up getting Fallout
weeks. That was, they were like, they said you can take it. I'll tell you my exact number. I was making $1,500 a week and they cut it down to $1,250. Yeah. And they said, we're going to pull your money back or you can take nothing. You probably get Fallout weeks. You get Fallout weeks, probably 1,500 again.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll just take the 12.
But then they were booking like all these, like, for lack of a better term, nerd acts. And I just sat back. I was like, they're going to call us next year. Because I've seen 80% of these dudes and they got 15 tops. And so, I
wish we could say names right now. Cause I remember looking at who was booked like the next week of who was taking bookings. And I was like, hold on, that person doesn't do stand up.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's also like, good luck with that. And look, it all.
Addison Improv was just straight up. And this was like, I think right before Trey left. And I think Trey left and then I looked at it. I remember going like, God, by the way, this is so inside baseball. I remember that because you and Ian Bagg each got money pulled.
Yeah.
And I remember I was the only one that ended up taking the money. And I gotta be honest with you, I'm not certain it helped or hurt my career, but I had a fucking bone to pick. I would walk into a weekend going, who do you got next weekend?
Yeah. Well, good luck.
So wait, keep going.
So in the middle of that, I was like, my agent's like, hey, you want to do a cruise? I was like, I'll do a cruise. And so I did a Carnival cruise. And actually Kid Rock had the best line about Carnival cruises. And that's they put the FU in fun. And because he used to do his cruise on Carnival and it was like a shit show, but I did it And it was just Carnival puts you up in crew quarters. So you're below the water line in a cabin with no windows. And then they have all these drills that you don't have to do, but they don't tell you. So the first day when someone's banging on your door, yelling, drill, drill, you just run out and you start following all these people. And then like, by that time I'd made friends with a few people and they're like, what are you doing here? And I was like, I don't know, to be honest with you. I was like,
This is post Last Comic Standing, right?
This was like in the fallout of Last Comic Standing. Because as high as Last Comic Standing got me, there was definitely a reciprocation of that on the back end.
Really?
As soon as the next season started, my numbers just poosh. And they didn't come back till Ugly and Angry. And so that was 3 years of just like I opened for Joel McHale. And like most of those gigs, I barely broke even. Most of the time I lost money because he was paying me $750 with no hotel and no airfare. So I'd have to put myself up, get myself there. And, we were playing Chicago. So, it's $300 a night for a Motel 6.
Yeah.
And so, but I was just doing it in the hopes that it would further me in some other facet, which it didn't, but whatever, lesson learned.
Yeah.
But I did the Carnival cruise. It was absolutely awful. And I remember emailing my agent in the middle of it because I was as sober as I've been before or since. And I was like, hey, man, just in case shit ever goes bad again, and I say I'll do a Carnival cruise, I want you to save this email because I don't want to ever do this shit again. It's the worst. I hate it, and I don't want to ever do it again. So save this. And so like 3 years later, he's like, I know you said no more cruises, but it's a Kid Rock cruise. And I just thought they called Gersh going, hey, we need a rock and roll comic.
Yeah. And
so I just took it as that. I go, worst comes to worst, I'll just write an article and sell it to somebody.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, because you book 4 months out, I end up talking to Steve Trevino, and he was like, I was hanging out with Kid Rock yesterday. He did 3 of your bits. He quoted you. He's like your favorite comic in the world, or you're his favorite comic in the world.
Really?
So I get on the boat, and Kid Rock does the first show. And I Wayne's World my way to backstage, and they're like, no, your pass doesn't work during the Kid Rock set. And I was like, well, fuck you and fuck him. And I go get high and go to the next show, and Kid Rock shows up. I'm like, well, if he's just such a big fan, I'll just go stand by his entourage. He'll see me. And 10 minutes later, he was talking to his girlfriend, and we made eye contact. He was like, hey, you, come here. We've been friends ever since.
Really?
Yeah. He just pulled me aside. I remember I got a key to the private floor, and we all hung out all night and got super drunk. And I ended up meeting a bunch of bands and a bunch of artists, and you end up hanging out. Like I had Band of Heathens like 2 weeks ago had me like I sang with them and recorded a video with them.
Damn.
Yeah. Like life's a trip, man.
Dude, that's my goal in this business. And I know this is probably like my goals are weirder than the average comic goals, like is to do a cruise. Are you fucking kidding me? I would love that.
Like a Bert Kreischer cruise.
A Bert cruise? That would be,
dude, you'd kill it.
First of all, I love cruises. I talked to Guy Fieri like a couple months ago, and I was like, without a doubt, my favorite burger in the world isn't anywhere except for in open water when they at like 4:00 when you're trying to sober up enough for dinner, but you don't want to ruin your dinner because you got a cruise dinner, and you get the Guy's Burger Bar, and they're like, how many patties? And you're like, fucking 5. Dude, I love cruises. Yeah. I've been going on Mike Calta's Cowhead. I have fucking my buddy Cowhead, Mike Calta. I've been going on his cruise for probably the past, 5 years. Like I just go do them, and I enjoy a cruise. I enjoy waking up and going to the gym. Yeah. Doing a little bit of the elliptical, getting to the sauna. I loved it. I took my daughters on a cruise, and I was like, you girls are going to fucking love this. And my daughters were like, this is fucking amazing.
See, this is where you and I separate. I like performing on cruises. They're fun, mainly because, the first day and a half before you perform, you're just like, you're one of the people. No one knows who you are. couple people may know who you are. And then once you do the first show, you're the life of the party. Everyone loves
and I
you.
love that energy.
But
I love being in the casino and people know who you are. And you're like, Daddy needs a new pair of shoes.
Oh, absolutely. Porter, get over here and roll these dice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, I love it. But when I just did the regular Carnival cruise, I was like, no, I don't like people. This is what I've always thought cruises were for. Either people that weren't cultured enough to like make their own decisions when they go on vacation.
Yeah.
And so they have like people that are like, what do you like? And they're like, well,
you know, tell me what you got.
Yeah. And they're like, well, I got this.
I can tell you what I don't like.
Yeah, exactly. Or super rich people that all they do is make decisions all day. And so their idea, because like my dad's best friend is like worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
And like he bought a bank recently. Yeah.
Do you get the money inside the bank?
I would hope so.
Oh, fuck. We should have counted inside.
He loves cruises. And I realize it's just because he spends his whole year making decisions. So all he wants to do is sit there with a drink and go, what am I doing? And they're like, you're going to go off this boat and you're going to go do this. And he's like, fuck yeah, I am. Let's do it.
I'm a guy who I like to take a lot of things out of play. And so like when I wasn't the perfect fit for Travel Channel, because I did not like getting off the grid and being unsafe and like getting lost in a city.
That's where you and I are
like
the same.
I loved resorts. Yeah. Like you send me to a resort and I go, oh, this is awesome. And then I can say to my daughter, hey, they got a backgammon board in the bar. You want to go play backgammon? And like, I love that fucking shit. I love getting a cocktail in the morning and getting in the pool and fucking everyone's getting mimosas. I mean,
you know why I think that is?
Why?
Because I'm the same way. And it's because we travel so much and we're worried about everything. We just want to go where everything's there. Everything's like everything. I don't have to worry. When you go into the city or like you have to figure out where shit is. And I don't want to do that. I want to go and where's the buffet? It's over there. Great. Like my last vacation and my next vacation are both Maui. And
by the way, if you said you got to pick one place to go in the world, it's Hawaii. It's Hawaii every time. I go to any of the places in Hawaii. I love Hawaii. Well, I just was telling Nathan Fletcher, we definitely should talk about, will you write Nathan Fletcher down? What? Nathan fucking Florence. God damn it. I keep saying Nathan Fletcher because he said Nathan Fletcher. Anyway, Nathan Florence. I love Hawaii more than anything in the world. The first time I went, whoa, this is everything I thought it would be. And then the next time I went, it was better than the last time.
Yeah.
And then by the fucking fifth time, I've been to Hawaii probably 12 times. It always gets better. And I think it's because they go, we need you to like it more so that you keep coming back.
I like it because it's like a different world, but your money still works. Like don't get me wrong. I love traveling to different countries. It's fun, but also there's a lot of like just pain in the ass where I got to call the credit card company and do all that shit. And then, and also like I'm figuring out in their money what that really is in my money. Like I just love going and like everything's the same, but it's all different. But I also stay in Maui, in Lahaina, in that big line of hotels. Mm-hmm. Last time I went with Tone Bell and our buddy Brent. The first day Brent took a day to get there. Me and Tone are walking, looking at excursions. And the guy goes, we're like, well, how much is snorkeling? And he goes, well, you're a couple, right? Tone and I were like, well, what's the discount and how far do we have to go to get it? Because
just for the 15% off.
I will kiss this dude on the mouth for $50. And, but like, it was just like every day we just went to a different buffet and then went and did an excursion and we were at the bar by noon and we were drunk by 7.
It's fucking so great. I miss Hawaii. Out of all this pandemic, I miss Hawaii more than anything because I would have gone. I miss Hawaii and Salt Lake City, or not Salt Lake. I love Salt Lake City, but Park City. Park City is somewhere we've gone every year, me and the girls, and it's so great. It's so much fun. I have had such a great time there. And the last time I went with Ari and a bunch of comics, Mark Norman, Steve Renazizi, God damn it, my brain's drawing a blank. Sean Patton, a bunch of us went, and
You have my number, right?
Ari set the whole thing up. He set the thing and then just goes, hey, if you want to go, it's ...
Yeah.
Oh, no, he goes, it's a free trip. It's a free trip. We're going to do shows. It'll pay for it.
Oh, okay.
And so I was like, oh, so we ended up doing shows. We had to do like 2 nights of shows at Wise Guys, and it paid for the whole trip. And I was like, wow, this is fucking great. And I explored other mountains that I wouldn't with my girls, because my girls just don't, they're pretty like, young skiers. So they put them on one mountain, and me and Leanne. But it's like the fucking getting there and then doing a couple runs, and then Leanne going like, you want to have a drink? And you're like, yeah. Do a couple more runs. Let's not get hurt. Let's have one more drink. We'll go back to the thing. You want to get some pizza? Oh, I fucking love the simplicity of vacationing.
Yeah.
I love to not, and I look at Ari. I've used Ari as an example because he's in fucking Guatemala right now.
For sure.
And have you been following him on Instagram?
No, I saw a shot of him, because I don't think I follow him, but like he came up on my, what's that, Discovery? And yeah, he's like in a kayak in the middle of a mountain.
I don't enjoy that.
No, I'm not.
I don't enjoy, I remember I'm very cognizant of apologies and whether or not people mean them. So I try to find ones I really mean, right?
Okay.
Like where I go, I actually fucked up. And I talked shit about Henry Rollins once, and I shouldn't have. But I did.
Yeah.
So like, I can understand someone in cancel culture, like really actually going, I didn't mean that. Like, because I didn't mean to talk shit about Henry Rollins, but I did. I was on a podcast, and everyone was celebrating, and I thought the angle was to shit on him.
Oh, okay.
Because I was like, because I like Henry Rollins, but he celebrated travel and the nuance of it, and getting lost, and it changed Ari's life. It's why Ari is now predominantly a traveler.
Yeah.
And just disappears for months on end, because Ari interviewed him and was like, I want that. I want that in my life. And I was like, I'd done that for Travel Channel for 9 years. It's not what it's worth. Like for me, it's not.
Yeah.
And I should have said, for me, it's not, as opposed to just what I said, which was on Rogan. I'm sure you can find it, but I was like, fuck Henry Rollins. Fuck that guy's full of shit. That's bullshit. That's something people say when they aren't cultured and they want to sound cultured. Like whatever the fuck I said. I really apologize for that, because I like Henry Rollins, and I don't, but I don't get like.
So I have a question.
Shoot.
I have a dilemma in my life, and I want you to, because it's of the same ilk. So this was 5 or 6 years ago. I'm friends with Chris and Rich Robinson.
Yeah.
Of the Black Crowes. Rich Robinson was playing in a Jimi Hendrix tribute in Oakland, and I was doing shows in San Francisco. So Molly, who we love, and I went over there.
I fucking love Molly.
She's literally the best.
Molly's someone who said things that I didn't understand, and then a year later I go, oh, I think I understand what Molly meant.
Yeah, she was just you weren't to her level yet.
Turning off my Whoop so I can save my activity. Keep going.
Okay, no worries. So Molly and I go over there, and Molly's in the audience. Here's the thing about Jimi Hendrix and mainly the blues. The blues is kind of like reggae, where it's good for about 45 minutes, and then you're like, this is the same song kind of over and over again.
Yeah.
And so I go backstage, and I'm hanging out. It was the same night Johnny Lang thought I was Chris Robinson, because Rich introduced me as his friend Chris. So I was backstage, and I go.
And you had long hair at the time.
No, I had cut it at that point.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So I grab a bottle of water. I go, hey man, can I just grab a bottle of water real quick? And I grab it, and he goes, hey man, I'm a huge fan. And I go, thanks, man. And he goes, yeah, you're just like the greatest singer of our generation. And I went, no.
Different guy.
No. And he goes, he was like, what? I go, who do you think? He goes, well, you're Rich's brother, right? I go, no, I'm his friend, Chris. Like, there are other people named Chris in the world. Anyway, so I'm side stage. I'm watching the show, and Kenny Wayne Shepherd's singer goes up. And I've seen Kenny Wayne Shepherd a couple of times. He's an amazing guitarist. Just visually, he's not my thing. Yeah. And but his singer he just smiles a lot. He's got big teeth, and it weirds me out. So I just left, and I walk up to Rich, who's in a group of people, and he's like, hey, Porter, what are you doing? And I go, oh, Kenny Wayne Shepherd's singer went up there, and I can't really hang with it. And then I just start going off about how I'd seen Kenny Wayne open for the Crows and how I didn't really dig the fact he's a flashy guitarist. Like when he changes chords, he points at people and does that kind of stuff. And some people dig the shit out of it. I don't. And so I just kind of went off about it.
Yeah.
What I didn't know is Kenny Wayne Shepherd is in the group of people and looks a lot different than he used to. And he ends up just walking away. And I don't know who the fuck he is. And I'm still just you start to catch a groove and you just start going off. And then like 10 minutes later, like another lady in the group is like, makes it very known that she's Kenny Wayne's manager and then leaves. And I look at Rich and I'm like, hey man,
you wouldn't have stopped me.
You couldn't have nudged me. He goes, I just wanted to see where you'd go with it. Cause he's that guy. And so now he's like best friends with Zach Myers, who's one of my best friends.
Yeah.
And like, so I feel the need to like apologize to Kenny Wayne, because I didn't mean to say all those things directly in front of him.
Yeah.
But also I don't not feel that way.
That's such an interesting place to be where you go, my wife is that person. She just tells you what she thinks of you. And I go, hey, you don't have to do that. Like no one cares.
You can just let it go.
You can just actually not bring any of that up. She's done it to me.
Yeah.
And you're like,
but also that's kind of hot.
It's super.
I dated a girl that was very much like that, even to me. And I was like, that's maybe one of the most attractive things about it.
That's why I love her is that we did this project thing where it's like, I was very vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I didn't know if I was going to do well. And I got done. She was like, you fucking killed that. And I know that if I didn't kill it, she would have told me I didn't kill it. She would have loved to tell me. She would have taken joy in telling me you were horrible.
Yeah.
And so when you do well, it's a real do well. But at the same time, it's like Leanne would tell you, that you should be able to tell him that. He should know that you don't enjoy him.
Yeah.
But I'm the opposite where I go, like I had an instance with
but I don't hate him as a person. Like I still think he should be able to do things and play guitar. It's just, I
had an instance where I am not certain if this was the person. It was very uncomfortable. I think I've talked about this before, but like I got off stage one time and I came into the green room at the store and everyone was like, hey, great set. No one heard it. I knew no one heard it. They're in the green room. They were drinking and and I didn't know any of them. They were all friends of Rogan.
Okay.
But I was like, someone's like, hey, Bert, when are you going to have Alex Jones on the podcast? And I go, and I'm just got off stage. I'm still firing a little hot. And I was like, fucking never. And they're like, what? And I was like, nah, fuck that guy. But I didn't mean fuck that guy. I was just like, I was like, as a guest for me, it's bad. It's a bad fit. I didn't say any of this.
Yeah.
Cause I'm also, I'm getting a cocktail. I didn't say any of this. I just was like, fuck that guy. If he comes on this podcast and I enjoy him on Rogan and him on Schultz's podcast, but for this, I'm not good because whatever he says, I'll agree with.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to look bad because I don't like confrontation and I'm not going to fact check any of his shit.
But also, what political person have you ever had on?
Never. And I'm not good with that shit. So that I should have said that. I should have said, Alex is a very interesting guest. He's a fun guy to watch, but he's not a good fit for me. Yeah. Because I don't.
But also, no, you shouldn't be able to have to say that in the green room of the fucking Comedy Store. And then, that's when we are allowed. Yeah. The fucking table is mirrored for we're allowed to do a lot of things back there that we shouldn't ever.
And fucking two people get up and walk out. And I don't know if it was Alex Jones,
but it might have been.
But I think it was Alex Jones. And I think he was the one that said it. But I would have recognized his voice. But someone was like, I was like, I didn't even pay attention to it. People just got up and left. And he had just done Rogan or Joey's. So just done a podcast in LA that day. And I'm sitting back there having a drink and people are laughing. And I go, what's so funny? And they're like, you said that about Alex Jones. And I was like, but I had no emotional attachment to him.
Yeah.
And I still don't. But I don't dislike the guy. I don't hate him. I just know that he talks crazy shit. I don't watch enough. I don't even know what QAnon is. I don't know what it is. So if he tells me about QAnon, I might go, Well, that sounds interesting. And then all of a sudden, these fucking people go, oh, fuck, I knew you were one of them.
For
and
sure.
You're like, oh, you believe in masturbating frogs.
Or
and
if
you're like,
you were to go, man, I don't believe that, you would have the opposite side. Be like, you liberal
dude,
piece
I stay
of
away
shit.
from that shit. I stayed away from today. I can say this now because it's so far away from whenever this gets released. But like, there was this brutal attack of a woman in New York. Joe Coy posted it, and he's like, "This is horrific." I saw it, and I was like, "No, what the fuck? Like, what? Literally, what the fuck?"
Yeah.
And I hate to say this, but it's not the majority of you, but the minority of you behave this way. Whereas I go to repost it on mine because Joe's like, please help us find this person that attacked this woman.
Yeah.
And I go, I'm going to retweet it. I'm going to repost it on my Instagram feed. And then I just thought, I don't want the headache. This sounds horrible, but I don't want to deal with the people on the internet who then go, where were you during George Floyd's? How come you didn't?
Yeah.
Where were you on Elliot Page? Where were you on this? Where were you on this? Why is it this? Because you're friends with Joe Coy? Now you stand. And I didn't want any of that shit. I didn't want any of it. But I do want to find the guy that beat up that Asian woman. Not because she's Asian, because that's a horrible. The fact that no person should be stomped outside of fucking whatchamacallit.
For sure.
That's just a real thing. No man should have a knee put on his neck where he can't breathe and die. That's a real thing. But like, I just go, sadly, I don't want the headache. I don't want to deal with the fighting online that will happen in my comments. And then I got to fucking deal with, I don't want to deal with any of that. And I go, man, I keep saying this. I did a hip hop podcast one time, and they said something very clear to me, like about stay in your lane.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, I was drunk, and I was like, it's an interesting thing. Why would they say that? And I was like, oh, because I look the way I do. Stay in your lane.
For sure.
Go do Rogan. Go do your podcast. Go do your own Bill Burr's podcast. Do your own podcast. You and Tom, stay in your fucking lane. Don't come into our lane, try to steal our fans. And I was like, oh, that's fucking fascinating.
But also, like, hold on. I wanted to feed off what you were saying.
By the way, I'm loving this fucking tequila.
Isn't it great?
And I'm loving that we're slow sipping it.
Yeah.
I feel like at a certain point, I'll go full Alex Jones.
We live in a society where I tweeted something about, it was basically love everyone.
Ooh.
Just love everyone. And we live in a society where I literally got, yeah, but. And it's like, no.
Yeah, no.
Jeff Dye, who I think is one of the most underrated comedians.
He really is.
He, like, everything he posts on Instagram like that are his bits, makes me, like, 98% of it makes me laugh out loud. But his bit about Jesus is one of my favorites.
What is it?
He just said, like, you know, I don't want to do it because I'll butcher it, but it was basically like, what I just said, where he was like, hey, love everyone. And they're like, well, what if they look different than us? And he's like, yeah, love everyone. And they're like, but what if they wronged us at some point?
Oh,
and it just keeps going. And it's a brilliant bit, but
it gets so hairy out there where you're like, I just stay off Twitter.
Yeah. Like it gets you off. And especially when you like make an opinion or you make a joke that's got an opinion base and someone's like, a guy's like, just be funny or just be that. And it's like, hey man, this shit's free. Yeah. This is free.
They should. Someone just said this to me the other day, they should make us pay for it. They should make us pay for it. $5 a month and just weed out all those fucking moronic poor people. All those fucking uneducated fucking imbeciles that just go in the fight. And by the way, I hate to say this, I stereotype them. I imagine they're all fucking white.
Yeah, and they live in a basement.
And I don't like these fucking tattletale motherfuckers where it's like, listen, I'm not standing up for cancel culture. I don't think you should cancel anyone, and I hate talking about it in general. Yeah. But if you are a trans person and you call out a celebrity for something that you felt was insensitive, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But if you're a fucking alt-right person who has like legit comedy chops and you like good comedy, but you don't like Sarah Silverman because she's not she's no longer one of you, and you felt she was one of you, and then you want to go and throw her blackface picture up and go, what about that, Sarah? Just stop. That's not who you are.
Yeah.
That's not who you are. Like the fucking sometimes like the O&A fans. Like I was a big O&A fan. So I get that energy. But like calling out Jimmy Kimmel because I get Jimmy Kimmel can be a fucking tad bit annoying. Yeah. I get Jimmy Kimmel's a bad example. I like Jimmy Kimmel personally, but that's just because of my age.
Yeah.
But like
this is what cancel. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, please.
Cancel culture implies that people, now there are certain people, I'm not talking about the Harry Weinsteins. I'm talking about like the comics, especially with their jokes.
Yeah.
It implies that people don't grow. When you take something from 13 years ago and you cancel them now, you're saying there's no way you've grown in 18 years.
Yeah, well, I have
14.
grown, I guess, maybe. But like, I still think, and Bert told me it had changed. I don't believe it. Maybe it did in New York, but like, I still think you take big swings on stage. When it comes to stage, when it comes to stage, you take big swings.
Yeah.
Like I'm just last night, I'm reading this book, King. Do you know what book I was reading? King Leopold's Ghost. Is that it? King Leopold's Ghost.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'll tell you the premise structure. Me and you will figure it out real quick, but people may be lost. So I don't want people to get offended on getting lost on it. But as a comic, we just real quick, you go, oh, I see where you're going. And I'm hearing of the atrocities that the Belgians, just absolute atrocities Belgians did in the Congo. When slavery, I think, was all but outlawed in the United States, or at least during the Civil War. And it was there was still racism in the United States, but they were straight up starting slavery in the Congo. And they had this, because they were shipping, the only thing they could do to make money, it sounds crazy, but they were like, these guys were watching boats come in from the Congo to Belgium to King Leopold, and it was filled with ivory and rubber. Dunlop had just created the tire.
Okay.
And the air-filled tire. So all of a sudden rubber was super valuable, so they could get rubber out of the trees. So these guys from Belgium would go in, these soldiers would go in, capture all the women, capture all the children, put them in cages, fuck all the women, and say to the men, if you want your women and children back, you got to go get rubber for us. And so that's how they do it. And they give them bullets to make sure so they come back with all this rubber. And by the way, I'm certain there's Andrew Bellelli or someone's like, Bert, that is not actually what happened at all.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you what I heard, right?
Okay.
So what I heard, and because I read part of the beginning of the book, I liked it, and so I listened to the rest on audiobook.
Okay, there it is.
So
also, any book you have to read 2 or 3 times to get everything.
yeah, I'm never. By the way, I picked like 3 subjects out of there that I was like, what the fuck? Like the one thing I couldn't stop thinking was how many times people call white people white devils, right?
Yeah.
So that I heard it and I didn't understand it. I was like, who the fuck are you talking about? And then you hear this and you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
If your ancestry, that's ingrained in your DNA. If your ancestry was oppressed the way these Belgium people straight up oppressed just black people, just people from the Congo,
Yeah.
then you got to take that charge and go,
Yeah.
They put one guy just for fucking shits and giggles, put a stick of dynamite up a guy's asshole and lit it. And nothing happened to him.
What?
He was like, they were like, well, sometimes you get a little buzzed. And the guy, because he was white, and he's like, just send him home. Fucking sometimes you blow up a human being.
I thought you meant nothing happened to the guy with the dynamite
no.
up his face.
That guy exploded. That guy totally exploded. But what was happening was, and this is where like I'm listening. You know, I'm always trying to write a bit. Like everything about life for me is a bit.
Yeah.
And so they're sending these shipping ships full of ivory and rubber back, and this guy's checking the manifold and going like, whatever it's called, and he goes, well, I wonder how much money they're shipping out to the Congo to get all this shit. Like they got to be paying these people, right?
Yeah.
And they were just shipping bullets out. And because you're obviously in the Congo and you got a bunch of white guys that are in the Congo that are now soldiers that are raping, enslaving all the women and children and torturing them, I'm sure, to get these guys to do the work. They wanted to make sure that the bullets were accounted for so that, because they're also in the jungle. They're like shooting leopards and hunting elephants.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, hold on. We sent those bullets down to kill Africans.
Yeah.
So here's the deal. We want a head count. Every bullet needs to be spoken for. So if you shoot a bullet, we want the hand of that African person you killed. And these guys were like, well, I still want to hunt. Let's just cut off all their hands so we can go hunting. And I'm sitting there going like, now here's the joke part of it for me. As I go, this is, I'm laying in bed going, this is fucking horrific. And then I was like, and I'm obsessed with accountability. I go, I would have been that guy. You can't assume because you grew up here that if you had grown up there, you'd still have your sensibility of who you are today.
Yeah.
I was like, I would have been that guy.
You would have come up with that idea.
And
you were like, what if we just cut all their hands? Then we get all the leopards we want.
Probably. Like I would have been the guy going, hold on. They want I don't know if I would have been that guy per se, but I would have been like, and so
you would have been the second guy. We're like, that's a great idea.
I'm like, hold on. They got two hands, guys. But I started writing a bit about like how there is, I wanted to write a bit about like how you can't, so like if you're a black person in America today, you look back at those atrocities and you see yourself in that situation. But us white people, we don't see ourselves in that. We go, yo, those guys were bad, but I'm not that bad. And you're like, oh no. If we go in a time machine, I would have been the guy going, wait, how do we get extra bullets? Like I would have, like you just can't. I'm obsessed with this premise of like, the thing I love about comedy is for me, and I think I learned this, I was about to say steal, but I stole this from David Tell. David Tell would take a premise, he'd never let it go. That one little bit, he would work it 19 different ways. And what's beautiful about when he was doing it then is you would watch it fail, and sometimes in bad ways, until he figured it out and you were like, oh, God damn it. That's why you don't ever give up on a bit. Sometimes you give up on a bit, you're like, fuck it, the bit doesn't work. But man, like I just was up last night and I wrote it down. I was like, all right, what kind of white person would I have been in the past?
Yeah.
Because you always think I would have been the good one. And then you're like, oh no, you just would have been this. You just would have been average. The same guy that didn't tweet today about the fucking hate crime in New York outside of fucking thing because Joe, and he didn't want to deal with it. That's the same fucking guy that's like going, And so I'm like, it's so interesting. But that's where my brain is today. Like in comedy, I've been reading this fucking book and I'm obsessed with it. Today's podcast is brought to you by Hims. I have talked to so many young men who I don't see it as they're losing their hair, but they see it. Probably one of the biggest problems young dudes have is where they start thinking they're losing their hair by 26. 66% of men start losing their hair by the age of 35. That's when I started noticing mine at 22. I did something about it. And doing something about it is the reason I still have hair. It's the reason I still have a, not full head of hair, but I can cheat it. And it looks like a full head of hair. If you trust me, if you see me out of a pool, you're like, but I did something about it. And that's what I love Hims. Hims is one-stop shopping for hair loss, skincare, sexual wellness, all for men. It's time to write a new chapter in your life, and it starts with a full head of hair. These are prescription solutions backed by science. Hims was created by a guy who knows some men's health conversations are easier to have online than in person. God damn it, that is so fucking true. I had to go to a doctor. I had to go to a pharmacy. It was so many hoops to jump through when you could just get connected. What Hims does is they connect you with licensed medical professionals online, which would save you hours, completely confidential and discreet, answer a few quick questions, and the medical professional will review. And if they determine it's right for you, they can prescribe you the medication to treat your hair loss that's shipped directly to your door. Today, Hims is giving you the best offer yet. If you're not happy with your results and after 90 days, Hims will give you a full refund. And right now, my listeners can get their first visit absolutely for free. Go to forhims.com/Bertcast. That's forhims.com/Bertcast. Disclaimer: prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Remember, that's forhims.com/Bertcast. This podcast is brought to you by Credit Karma. If dreams of vacationing, enjoying the fun life are turning into realities for you, don't let concerns over financial setbacks keep you from saying yes. Credit Karma helps keep your financial goals in check, so you don't have to hit pause on a good time that's waiting ahead with a beautiful woman and a cocktail on a beach watching a sunset falling in love, changing your life. That is waiting for you. Now that the world's back open, you can have the great life you've been sitting for the last 16 months waiting for. Credit Karma's game-changing technology shows you tailored offers for credit cards and personal loans that you're more likely to be approved for, so you can apply with more confidence. They use your credit and other financial information to show you custom recommendations. Whether you want cash back, travel rewards, or consolidate debt, Credit Karma can help find you the offers that fit your goals. With selections of options and approval odds, you have the power to make informed decisions. You can also look up credit card offers for college students, see personal loan recommendations for credit cards, refinancing. Credit Karma shows each credit card or personal loan offer, including details, rates, fees, and loan amounts. Apply with confidence with Credit Karma. Go to creditkarma.com/podcast to learn more and find offers tailored just for you. That's creditkarma.com/podcast, or you can see their offers on the Credit Karma app. Apply with confidence today. Go to creditkarma.com/podcast or the Credit Karma app.
Yeah, I also think a lot of those people on the internet are just contrarians. They're like, there's a guy, there's that group of people that just, if everyone says yay, he's going to say nay.
Yeah.
And now they have a platform to be, and most of the time these people don't even have their own picture. It's some avatar.
We need, hold on, I need to check my brisket with my wife. We need accountability. I want social security numbers online. I want everyone to be 100%. Fuck.
What's going on?
Nothing.
We need to take a break?
Nope, not at all. Not at all. Do you need a break? Do you need to go to the bathroom? I'm good. I just got to call my wife and make sure she is watching my brisket.
Okay.
I have 3 briskets.
You should get one of the Bluetooth thermometers.
I can't get my phone hooked up to the fucking thing.
Oh, really?
I tried all day today. The RecTech, I need RecTech to hit me up.
Dude, that was my dad.
I have it hooked up to my Bluetooth. My Bluetooth is my wife.
2 of the greatest things I've ever bought my father: Bluetooth thermometer, Apple Watch.
Oh, Apple Watch, dude. I wish I had more wrists. Because I want to wear like a nice watch. Like I have this one, and then my wife. I love that my wife. This is what makes me crazy about women, right? Is she goes, "Ugh, are you calling about your brisket?" And I'm like, yeah. Why? What do you need me to do? She's not even answering it. Is she home? Is she here, Halston? Is she picking up the girl? No, she's home. Georgia's home. What the fuck? I'm calling Georgia. My wife's like, does it matter what temperature it comes out at? I'm like, yeah, that's actually the whole deal. That's the gig. Hey, George, can you go check my brisket real quick?
What?
Can you go out and check my brisket?
Oh boy, I'm about to take a nap.
Where's mom? Is mom taking a nap?
No, I don't know. I'm not going in the bathroom.
This is what kids are like. Go to my brisket. I need the readings on the thermometers.
Going.
Where's mom?
She's on the phone. She's an adult.
What?
Hey, I'm gonna need you to pick me up. I'm drinking tequila with my buddy Chris.
Boy.
All right. Tell me the temperatures.
Mom needs us to go to the Dollar Tree, so maybe not.
Okay.
179.
And what's the other ones?
What? There's only one.
There's no baby. There's look on the look.
Oh. Set point, actual, probe A, and probe B. Do you need all of them?
Yeah, I need the 2 on the below.
Okay, probe A is 192, probe B is 165.
Fuck yeah. All right, I'll call you in a little bit, okay?
Okay, bye.
All right, love you, bye. There's nothing better than smoking meat. You know, someone sent me a tweet the other day. They said at a certain age, as you turn into an old man, you either want to talk about World War II or talk about smoking meat. I want to talk about both.
Well, I can. First off, the best grade I ever got in a college class was in a history of World War II class. Second off, my dad competitively barbecued for all of my youth.
Are you serious?
Swear to God. I grew up in Kansas. Dad got way into cooking and smoking, and they have one of the major barbecue events in the world is the American Royal, and that's in Kansas City. And then they have like 4 others that were all there. So like the summer was basically us going to dad's barbecue events.
So what did your dad like?
My dad's
grilling?
pulled pork, Zach Myers will tell you, is the best pulled pork in the world.
Really?
And I would not disagree. Yeah.
Now, what is it about your dad's pulled pork that makes it?
I mean, one thing I needed to get, I mean, my dad's taught me a lot of things over time, but I just recently during the pandemic started to get into cooking.
You just said that. Yeah.
And so like, I realized, my dad's going to be around for a while. He takes care of himself, but I do need to like pick his brain about a lot of this shit.
Well, yeah, because that's a real, Dave Williamson is really big into barbecue and smoking meats. And I FaceTime him nonstop when I'm smoking something and go, hey, here's where I'm at. Tell me what I need.
Yeah.
It's great to have someone in your corner and your dad to be that guy. My dad will grill stuff, but everything's medium rare or everything's rare. And then he's just like, just sear it, buddy, sear it.
Yeah.
But like, I love.
My father, I remember a lot of my high school youth was some weekends I would do the midnight shift. So I would always recruit a friend to come with me. And our job was to stay up from noon to 6 a.m. or midnight to 6 a.m. and drink as much beer as we could. And they gave us a blowtorch and we made sure that the temperature stayed at a certain level. And us being kids and being stupid, we would always let it drop a little lower than it should. So we got to use the blowtorch.
So your dad was like had a legit rig.
He had a legit rig. Yeah. Well, he did. His partner had the trailer, the giant one. Yeah. And dad still owns a smoker. It's at my uncle's because they just moved into a high rise. But yeah.
Really?
But yeah, my dad,
Parents still married?
Parents still married, still super happy. They just sold the house. My parents, it was the house my sister grew up in.
You didn't grow up there?
I didn't grow up. I grew up, they moved out of the house I grew up in like the week after I graduated high school. Cause I grew up way out in the sticks. And so like, as soon as I graduated, my parents were like, we're moving to where we don't have to drive 20 minutes to do anything.
Yeah.
And then the rest of my sister grew up like midtown Kansas City.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And so were you talked about your dad taking care of himself. You just recently started taking care of yourself.
Well, and dad's not a small dude. And he definitely looks better now. He fluctuates.
Yeah.
There are definitely times where he's unhealthy.
How tall is he?
He's 6'2". He's like 2 inches smaller than I am.
Yeah.
But I was, just growing up, and especially when I hit like 30s, I just saw my dad had always struggled with his weight. And I didn't want to do that. And so, were
you ever overweight?
No, but in like 12 or 13, I started heading that way. Like there are pictures of me being I remember the Maui Comedy Festival, the one year that happened. There are photos. Like I remember looking at the photos and I was like, oh, I'm getting fat. Like I've reached that point. And then my sister talked me into going to CrossFit because she was going to try it. And I fell in love with it. And then when the pandemic hit and our gym closed, my sister's best friend and now one of my closest friends, her husband, they're doctors. So they put a gym in their garage and allowed us to come over. I went over today. I was like, hey, I'm going to come over at noon today and do the workout.
We just started doing that in here.
Yeah.
So we have a gym. I'll show you too when we get done. We have a gym that we built in there and we just got a rack today.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It's sitting out front. It's shout out to Bert Soren.
Okay.
Yeah, Bert Soren, a good friend of Joe's and a good friend of mine as well. The only other, I'm the OG Bert. He's like a new Bert, so I'm the Bert. But he hooked us up with a rack. Weights are really hard to come by right now.
Very much so.
He hooked us up with weights. He hooked us up with plates and a barbell and everything. I say hooked up. We've paid for everything.
Yeah.
I just say that to be fair. Tax wise, and so people think I'm not giving them a shout out because I'm getting free shit.
But also just the fact that you could find some, because I tried to find 35-pound dumbbells and they were going for like $150 a pair at one point.
And that was the hard part, was getting them.
Yeah.
Like I talked to Joe about it and I was like, hey man, I need some weights. We're putting a gym in. And he was like, let me hook you up with Bert. And I texted Bert. It was right when we were doing Go Big Show and I kind of dropped the ball. And then when I got serious about it, my trainer Lacey hit him up and was like, yo, we're putting in a gym. And he's like, oh, I texted him. I'll get everything out there. And so that's the hard part.
Yeah.
But we just started doing workouts on the board. Like she'll write a workout. And the thing she did today was 1,000K row to warm up. We do like activations to loosen it up. Then 1,000K row. Then it was bench press. I'm just working on chest and shoulders and arms right now.
Yeah. Glamour muscles.
Yeah. Glamour muscles. Bench press, flies, and inclines. 5 sets of 15 each. And then we did 50 curls, 50 shrugs, and then 3 the fucking rower is the fucking beast.
Yeah.
3 sets, and this is based on Nathan Florence. 3 sets of 300 meters under a minute. So 300 meter sprints.
Yeah.
Under a minute, and you get a minute break, and you just got to do 3. Because I'm trying to build up. He did 12, and
Really?
I'm trying to build up so I can like I go that well. So that's so now you know where fitness lays. Is like if you're in great shape, you're a pro surfer, you can do 12 sets of 300 meters. Is tough.
That's tough, man.
Yeah.
That's real tough.
My warm up is 250 meters a minute. It's like a warm up for me.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, that first fucking 300 meters, this is so, if you don't work out, you're like, Bert, I don't give a fuck about this. But if you have been on a row, you're like, okay, that makes sense. Like I actually went on and started looking at CrossFit guys and what they row. I looked at fucking Action Bronson and what he rows. He's a savage.
Dude, yeah. It also helps to be, because you're you're tall.
6'1".
Yeah. So like it helps to have length for sure.
Yeah.
My workout today was started with a 15-minute AMRAP of a 500-meter row, 15 high box jumps, and then 15 pull-ups. And then you did that as many times as you can. And I'm not real strong on the pull-ups. So
I'm not strong at all on pull-ups.
it took me, I think I got through it 2 times, and then I was in the middle of the row and time ended. And then we had to do heavy power clean, heavy power snatch, and then just like some accessory work at the end.
It's interesting. I just started deadlifting and doing cleans, and I've done them before, but like just started doing them for real.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. Like I texted Tom because Tom's dad was like a legit power lifter.
Oh no.
Like Tom Sewer's dad was like an Olympic power lifter.
Really?
Yes. Like never. And so Tom grew up in just those movements.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna hang out with your dad, you're gonna lift weights, and I was like, yo, what do you deadlift? And he was like, I don't know, like fucking 400 pounds. And I was like, Jesus
Christ.
I know. And then he goes, yeah, I mean, and by the way, he's got a blown out knee,
Yeah.
fucking hand that barely works.
And we
arm
all
that has
saw what
surgery.
happened.
Yeah. And he goes,
By the way, that made me some good money
oh, really?
because I covered his week in Phoenix.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like it was like a Tuesday night, and all of a sudden I get a phone call from my agent. He was like, hey, you got to have to go to Phoenix this weekend. And I'm like, what the fuck happened? And then I get online and it says Tom Segura is going to be there. I'm like, what the fuck happened to Tom Segura?
Yeah.
And then the next day, like obviously it all came out.
Oh, yeah. No one believed it. They all thought it was a car accident.
Fuck.
I got calls. They're going, what really happened? What were you guys doing?
Yeah.
And I was like, it's basketball.
Why did they go to car accident?
Because he fucking
Like
gets
is it the Lamborghini?
he gets these expensive cars. They give him expensive cars to drive for a week,
Yeah.
and then he does like a YouTube review on them.
No shit.
Yeah, I'm not a car guy, so I don't really give a fuck about.
Oh, dude, I'm the biggest car guy
For
in
real?
the world. Yeah.
Wait, so like, how so? Like, what do you mean? Like, define that. 'Cause
Well, like-
today I saw a Mustang Shelby,
Okay.
and I don't mean this disrespectfully, but like I just was like, who the fuck buys that car? And
Yeah,
like,
no,
my
I-
wife goes, what do you mean? Who the fuck buys that? It's a Mustang Shelby, and I went,
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't buy a new one. I'd buy, if I had $400,000 or whatever they are, I'd buy an AC Cobra for sure.
I don't even know what that is.
That's the original Cobra.
Hey, Austin, can we get some ice for the tequila? I want another glass of
Here's
tequila.
some more.
Oh, you got more?
Like I love to watch shows about the British Top Gear was like my favorite show forever until Jeremy Clarkson punched a dude and they had to stop doing it.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, he punched a producer because he was mad about breakfast.
For real?
Yeah.
That's the number one thing. Don't be a dick on set and you'll work forever.
Don't be a dick ever. Like, and you and I talked about this offline, but like the pandemic definitely proved like, hey, the nice guys are going to work in the dark times. Cause I never really, after the initial shutdown, I never really struggled. Like my work picked right back up, and it's because I don't try to fuck the staff. I just go do my job. I order dinner. Listen, I've gotten to an age now where if you don't have 1942, I'm sorry, I'm not drinking.
Yeah.
Or a tequila of the same, just because like I'm too old to like drink shitty liquor.
Yeah.
And so like, and it also helps. Like it helps a lot of things to only drink when you have to or want to.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I just like all the dudes that didn't try to fuck everybody, one excluded, seem to be working normally. It's
interesting. I feel lucky that my vice was always drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
Cause it just turned me into a fun guy on the road. And I can't imagine if you're like, was it the old David Tell joke where he was like, I'm addicted to cigarettes. They say some people are addicted to fucking kids. I can't imagine that addiction, getting off a plane and be like, don't talk to me until I fucked a child. By the way, I'm ruining a David Tell joke. Yeah. I'm sure it's so much better when he tells it. But like, I got very lucky in that. And I've been happily married. So I don't really have a thing on the, like, I don't want to chase things. And I watched a dude chase happiness that I worked with. I watched him try to find, like, he was famous and he was I watched things happen where I was like, it's just going to bring you sadness. Like, like I just was so clear on that. Like, that's not going to, like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Treating people like shit isn't going to bring you anything.
And it's so funny. You want to just get in front of people and go like, hey, just stop, man. And then you look at, did you know Eric Myers?
Yeah, very well.
Eric was, he passed, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Then you look at that, like his drinking, and you go, that's a different ball game. I don't know. I couldn't wrap my head around
that. Dude's demons. I knew Eric literally from the time he started doing comedy.
Yeah, because he was a Florida guy, right?
He was
he was a straight up road dude.
He was a straight up road dude, but we were also, we were both repped by Gary Menke for a long time. And I remember, as a matter of fact, coming out to Los Angeles, staying in a hotel with Gary Menke and Eric Myers. Eric, I think, slept on the floor. And then like Eric did CTV. Like Pablo was hosting it. Pablo got him the gig. He went up there and he crushed it. And, Gary drove him around. And I love Gary to death. There is not a more terrible driver on the planet. So it just got to the point where I would just stay at the hotel.
Yeah.
Which I think we ended up having to pay for. But like Eric was always, I don't want to get into it, but he was always chasing something. He was always chasing something. And
I never saw him drunk. I personally never saw him drunk. But I was only with him when he was sober, and I only had interactions with him when he was sober.
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely saw him at some dark times, but he was even in his dark times, he was such a great soul and such a good person. Louis C.K. loved him. I loved it. Like, he's one of the most funny comics I've ever seen. And he would always ask me to feature for me. And I'd be like, and I wouldn't let him just because it's like, hey man, we're the same. We're both two angry white dudes. And I just, it's not that you're not super funny. It's just that it's like, I like to have like most of the time, especially here in LA, I always have a woman open for me. Yeah. And then on the road, I usually have Brandon Patrick or Kenny Garcia open for me. And one's a black dude, another Puerto Rican. Like, I just want to have alternate views, alternate energies too, because they're both kind of low key. If you just have three white dudes screaming at you for 90 minutes, that's a 5-finger death punch show. Like, that's a different, it's a different thing.
That, Austin? Yeah, you're right. I wasn't cognizant of it, but I always liked, my thing was, I always want to work with guys on the road. I want to meet guys on the road. I don't want to bring anyone, you bring someone. And I said, I actually felt guilty. We were on tour and I was like, I feel bad bringing people because, it would be cool to offer that up to people And Dave Williamson, who obviously white dude, but Dave Williamson was like, you met all of us on the road. Like I only met these guys because they worked on the road with me. But I was always like, oh, you got to help the local club scene. You got to help the local stand-up scene is like, you know, fucking go to Portland, have a Portland comic open for you.
Yeah.
And then meet that dude, hang out with that dude, have a good time with that dude, and you might get a friend. That guy's Shane Torres.
Okay.
I've known Shane forever. Now because of that, I worked in Irvine or in Oxnard New Year's Eve, fucking 4 New Year's Eves ago, and they sent Jesus Trejo.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh fuck it. As opposed to bringing someone, you could easily bring someone. I'm never good at like when someone's like, who do you want to open for you? I was like, I don't know, just whatever the club's got.
Oh yeah. No, I usually have a list like like I always have very funny women like Ambria Allen is very funny. Crystal Marie is very funny. But then like on the road, I have Brandon Patrick and Kenny Garcia. And it's mainly, especially on the road, like I just bring guys that on stage were different, but off stage were pretty similar. Like Kenny and I love sneakers. Brandon and I love weird jazz music. And like, it's something we can hang out and talk about. They're also just good dudes that I like to hang out with. And cause the road is lonely and it's a bad.
That's a Roganism right there. I remember telling him that I didn't bring anyone. And he was like, oh, don't you want the road to be fun? I was like, the road is fun. And he was like, yeah, but you can have your friends with you. And I was like, in my head, I was like, And then I started bringing people and I was like, oh, in a weird way, I was like, oh, I get to pick the person I go to lunch with. Yeah. Like as opposed to, I remember one time working at the Orlando Improv and I see the guy that I work with the guy the first night and he was a little bit of a dick. I feel bad if he's listening, but he's a little bit dick. And then I run into him downstairs the lobby and he was like, you know, I was supposed to headline this weekend. And I was like, and in my head, I was like, I've been booked I was like, this is
there's no way.
Like, and sometimes you just deal with people like that, and you're like, I was like, I don't want to. Yeah,
you're the reason I bring people.
That guy is the reason I bring people. Yeah. It's because I was like, I'm fucking done with fucking so many people. And then all of a sudden, they think because you're a comic, they can bring their drama into it, and you're like, hey man, you can't bring your girlfriend into the fucking green room and let her smoke a vape pen. Just a tobacco vape pen the whole time, just blowing out cotton candy snowflakes or whatever it's called.
She can make all the rings she wants to. It's not fun.
I actually was friends with someone. Yeah. And I stopped being friends with them. I stopped liking them because of the way their girlfriend abused the green room. And this person brought their friends in, and I was so bothered by it.
Which you should be.
I was like, I was like, I'm not actually going to say something. I'm going to just stop liking you. Yeah. You should know that this isn't cool.
I'm the same way. Like odds are, especially if you're my opener and you fuck up like that's ridiculous.
I mean, just like literally, I remember there was an actual legit Hollywood industry meeting in this green room that was being conducted by the girlfriend. And I was like, hey man, this isn't your green room and you need to kick her the fuck out. And these 3 people, dude.
I had a feature act Sunday night tell me, he's like, I'm going to leave right after my set. I was like, yeah, that's fine. He sold CDs in the audience while I was on stage. Like went around at different tables like, hey, you want one? To the point where I was like, hey man, what are you doing? And he goes, hey man, it's cool. And I'd been on stage for 2 minutes, so I can't, and I wasn't at a place where they were my fans. So I was like, I can't rip this dude because they don't know me.
They know him better than they know you.
They love him.
Yeah.
But also this dude should fucking know better. And I remember it was at the Toledo Improv and Toledo Funny Bone. Yeah. I walked up to Nadia and I said, you call Dave Stroop and you tell him that motherfucker is never working with me again.
I worked with a guy at the Cleveland Improv who had 4 DVDs and he set up in front of me. And I go, oh, yeah, hey man, I'm the headliner. Let's share a table or something. And he was like, nah, bro, you got to get them when they come out. And I was like, no, I understand that. No, I get the concept.
Yeah. No, I lay that down when most features ask.
Yeah.
They go, hey man, it's all right. I was like, yeah, man.
100%.
Separate table. I go first.
Yep.
And they're like, cool. I remember one time, I won't say his name, but we were in Dayton and it was a lot of comics that I knew and liked, and we were all hanging out in the green room, and I was holding court, and he was like, the guy did not ask. And it's one of those things where I don't say anything. It doesn't upset me, but it's definitely a note I put in my brain where I go, all right, well, if this motherfucker ever asks for shit, I'm going to remember that. And and I'm the guy that would be like, hey man, remember dating? You didn't ask. Yeah, that's why I'm not going to do this shit for you. So he goes, man, when I headline, I don't give a shit. The feature act can sell whatever he wants. What about you, Porter? I go, no, man, I like it when they ask. I had to ask. Everyone should ask.
Yep.
And he goes, and it was Saturday. We had 4 shows at this point. He goes, well, is it cool if I sell stuff? And I'm like, nah, dude, you don't get to ask now. We're 4 shows deep. And he's still one of my good friends. And like, I love him to death. He's probably the best dressed feature act on the planet. But fucking it was just a thing where I'm like, yeah, you should ask.
I worked with a dude. I wish we could just say names. It's just so, when you talk about like, I'm trying to learn. I mean, I'm never gonna. When you talk about power dynamics, you realize like you shouldn't shit on. You should, shit on certain people because it's unfair. It's unfair. You have a bigger platform. Mike Vecchione was the one that taught me that. I had a bad relationship with a girl, and Mike was like, "Hey," and I would just say her name, and Mike's like, "Maybe you don't do that," and I was like, "Why?" He was like, "I don't know. She shouldn't have like 1 million people listening to her. She shouldn't get to tell her side." And I went, "It's a good call.
It's a good call."
I was like, "That makes sense." And I was like, "I actually feel bad," and I was like, "Thank God I didn't say her name." And he was like, "I'm just giving you a heads up." And so, but I worked with the dude one time. I won't say the club. It was a great club. It was a great club. They changed venues. The previous club, I'll tell you this so that you can get it. The previous club had a second story, and it was a balcony second story. It looked a lot like Virginia Beach.
Okay.
And they changed clubs, and they went into the typical. It was an typical improv structure of like wide spread out.
Yeah.
It was Luke used to run it, but he was never there.
It was an improv.
Yep.
Okay.
You nailed it. You fucking nailed it.
Yeah.
God, I love this. I can almost tell you when people like will post pictures of them in a gym, I go, "You're in Omaha." And they're like, "Oh, I could tell you the fucking gyms."
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. I remember, it's not anything, but I remember I posted a boomerang of me on an escalator, and Kevin Christie was like, "You're the crate and barrel at the Grove." And I was like, "Yeah, and you're there too much, if you can call that."
Nikki Glazer posted a picture of a gym, and I go, "You're at the Microtel in Des Moines." And she went,
"Do you remember when they put us up at that fucking Microtel?" Oh man, I miss that dude to death, but I don't miss that hotel at all.
Paul Lane was the guy that owned the Des Moines Funny Bone. His ex or widow, Leisha, now owns it. Runs it. Great
woman,
fucking group.
Great family.
Great people. Paul passed, had a heart attack. By the way, he's probably got to be younger than I am right now when he passed.
I think it was 56.
Oh, maybe not.
Yeah.
Paul, I have great Paul stories in that. So I go the first time I do that club, he's like, I heard you're a partier. I was like, yeah. He goes, all right, get him out to the bar after the show. Get him out to the bar. If we party all weekend like that, I'll hit your bonuses. And I was like, okay. So I was like, fuck yeah. I may not sell out, but I'm going to I did good press. And then I told everyone, let's go party at the bar. Paul loved it. So I get that's Thursday. Friday morning, I get blood work back from my doctor. My doctor says I have high cholesterol. She goes, you need to lower your cholesterol, lower your blood pressure. And I'm worked up. Paul sees it. I'm worked up. And he goes, by the way, Paul was like, fucking, it's probably not as big, but I need you to understand how big. So it's going to sound like what to the people listening. He was like 6'4", 370.
He was a big man.
He was a big man, big hands.
Yeah.
Big truck, big full head of blonde hair. Like he was a big dude.
He was a big dude.
So he said, you're not drinking tonight? It's first show. And I go, I got to stay healthy, man. He's like, what? I said, I just got blood work back from my doctor. I said I have high cholesterol. He goes, not that. I got the same shit. You know what? Get him what I have for dinner. Fish and vegetables, healthy. I went, for real? He goes, yeah, fish and vegetables, healthy. And then you can have a drink, lowers your blood pressure. I said, really? He goes, glass of wine, fish and vegetables. So I go to the green room. I come back to the bar, and I sit next to Paul, and our meals come up, and it is fried fish and chips and a fucking glass of wine. I go, Paul, this isn't healthy. He goes, fish and vegetables. Sadly, like 2 years later, he had a heart attack and died.
Yeah. Well, which was hilarious because when you were like, he made fish and vegetables, I was like, all they had there was that fucking auto fryer.
That's all they had.
That's all you want something? Well, I put it in this thing. It comes out the back end and it's done.
Dude, I made that guy laugh. I sincerely made that man laugh so much in I was so different than he was. He picked me up one morning to go to the airport. We had been partying the night before, and I go back to the microtel, picks me up at like 6:30 to go to the airport.
Yeah.
He probably hasn't slept. And he's got a Michelada. Like the Budweiser had just come out with the Micheladas.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And he has a tall boy Michelada. And it's ice cold. And he goes, hey, got this for you. I went, oh, thanks. And I crack it and I start drinking. I go, this is fucking great. And he goes, yeah? I said, yeah. I go, this is awesome. He goes, I knew you'd like it. And I said, how did you, because it's actually a tasty drink.
Yeah, yeah.
I go, how'd you know I'd like this? And he starts giggling to himself and then starts laughing hysterically. I go, what? And he goes, I knew you'd like it because you're an alcoholic.
Fuck.
He was a great dude.
I remember because he make you do that radio show for 3 hours.
It was Heather,
round guy,
and Johnny.
No,
it's Heather.
He does radio. He does the news now.
No, he does television.
He does television.
Yeah. Fuck. Oh, this is horrible.
Yeah, we're bad. I want to say Jim. It's not Jim though.
Yeah, and by the way, his TV show is a fun show to do.
Yeah,
Lets you get loose.
Except for they have you on there for fucking 38. Okay, only place. So I didn't get to do that show for like 3 years because I accidentally said fuck on. Because they had you on for like 38 broadcast minutes.
Yeah.
And for those of you who don't know, that's like an hour and a half in regular time.
Oh, yeah.
Normal, just so the audience knows, normal morning television, you're on for about 140 seconds. Like you're on there for like 4 minutes, maybe.
You go on there and he has done research. God, what is it? Type in Heather. Lou.
It was Lou. Great guy, but yeah, it was like broadcast minute 28.
I loved it. I went in there and they had cocktails and I had a little fucking
man, no one ever has. First off, I'm not a morning drinker.
Oh, I am for radio. I've had some of my best radio appearances morning drinking. But that guy, he was a great guy on air. Round guy and Heather had tension.
Yeah,
Lou was the one that drove shit. And then he went on to do Heather. I still do Heather's show. I've called into Heather's show.
Yep. And Lou still does. And Lou's still on the TV.
Still
but
on
I
TV.
said, and I didn't say fuck like fuck. I was like, it was the fucking the thing.
Yeah.
And I remember I said it and I was like, I said it. And then I went and we all stopped. And then I just kept going. And this old white man during the commercial break came down and yelled at me in a way that I thought he was kidding.
Yeah.
So I let it go. And then when he walked away, I was like, oh, I thought at the end, he was like, nah, I'm just fucking with you. Like it happens sometimes. We're cool.
Yeah.
And he never said that. He was super angry about it. It was very obvious that I didn't even mean to say it. And, but yeah, I wasn't allowed on there for a long time.
How did we get on this? Because I
we're talking about Paul.
Talking about Paul.
And he dropped.
No, about Des Moines, Microtel, hotels. You could pick
a feature.
No, you were talking about, God damn it. There was something I wanted to say about, you could tell by like where someone was, where they were. And you were like, oh, I've been there. I've been there so much.
Oh,
I can tell you that.
Yeah. Gyms, hotels, like the hotel they put you up at Hilarities, and now the Improv is very obvious.
Oh, I see that. I'm like, that's too easy.
Yeah. Also, one of my favorite hotels on the planet.
One of the best hotels. One of the best hotels on the planet.
The Hyatt.
The only problem is a lot of weddings at that.
A lot
hotel.
of weddings, and if you get a fucking room in that ring, you're like, hey, enough of the chicken dance. I got 2 shows tomorrow.
A lot of that.
But also. Every Hilton, if you're at so I smoke. I spend 80% of my time on the road in my bathroom.
Yes.
In a smoking weed.
I've been there with you in Omaha.
In Omaha. That's me every day. And I was watching our good friend Zach Myers on an Instagram Live, and he was with another person. I thought I was safe. And it turns out now you can put 3 or 4 people on an Instagram Live.
Really?
Yeah. And so all of a sudden this thing pops up like, Zach Myers wants you to go live. And I was like, no. And I hit it. And now I'm live. I'm high as a kite. Zach Myers is like, can I just guess what you're doing right now?
Just because you're in the bathroom?
Yeah. He goes, you're at a Hilton Garden Inn. You're smoking weed. You're as close to the vent as you can possibly be. So all the smoke sucks out the vent. And you're just checking Instagram, and now we're here. He was 1,000% accurate.
By the way, there's something there. I will say, one of my favorite nights drinking in a hotel room. If you can, normally when you go into a hotel room, they've got the very uncomfortable couch, the bed, and you can find maybe someone grabs an office chair. You have your drink set up. There's an intimacy about smoking marijuana with you in a bathroom where you're like, no, we're just 2 dudes standing talking.
Yeah. And normally the bathrooms are big enough to where it's not weird. Every once in a while they put you up at like a Motel 6 or a Travelodge where it's like, it's a little uncomfortable. But it's, by the way, if you're ever smoking weed in a hotel, doing it, just check the vent. It's usually sucking out because they want to get all the poop air out.
Me and Pete Corielli. Pete, I don't know if Pete still smokes. He was a everyday, all day smoker.
Yeah.
Always. And cigarette smoker. We go to Denver. You know the hotel in Denver that's shaped like this, and
the Renaissance.
Yeah, every room's got a balcony on it. So we go, and it's a big rotund, like big open air atrium in the middle. So we all go back to the hotel, and we go back, and it was just when weed was legal there. So we had bought a bunch of weed, and we're all smoking I had used my shirt to get ice. Okay. Pete had never seen that. I just used my shirt to get ice. And then we bought a bunch of chips, and I opened all the bags of chips on the table, and we had chips, all different types of chips out there. We light some joints. We're sitting out in the thing, and he's like, this is great. We're having the greatest time. And we hear a knock on the door, and I go, don't worry, I'll get it. And he's like, Pete's like, don't open it. It smells like weed in here. I go, the window's open. We'll be fine.
No,
I open the door, and all the wind from outside, all the weed
right out.
Sucks in, and I watch it hit this guy's face, and he goes, oh. You guys can't do that here.
Yeah.
and it went over my shirtless body.
That's the classic Rook mistake is you open a window. You want to be outside, and everything has to be closed.
Everything has to be closed.
Because as soon as you open that window, even if your door's not open, it's getting sucked out underneath the door.
It got sucked out bad.
Yeah.
And I remember the guy was like, like he looked at me like,
come on.
Like it hit him. I felt the wind go over my shoulders onto him. And I was like, it was almost like I also exhaled into his face. Like,
yeah. Now we're not doing shit, bro.
I want to try mushrooms again. I haven't done mushrooms in a really long time.
You know, I want to do them again, and we should do them together. But we should call Josh. So I did Josh Wolf's High live.
Josh is
right before he moved.
Okay. Because
right
Josh is going hard in the paint. He texted me. He was like, mushrooms, weed, edibles, whatever you want. Let's go fucking.
Dude, it's crazy. And so I had mushrooms over at his place, and like all the mushrooms, especially during like the last Comic Standing era, I did mushrooms so much.
Really?
And then when I toured with the Crows, there were just mushrooms everywhere. They would grind them up and make them into capsules, and there would just be a bottle of mushroom caps, and you would just every show would just be just so, but they always tasted like shit. And then I go over to Josh Wolf's house, and I was like, yeah, I'd love to do some mushrooms with you. He's like, not everyone does them. I was like, I'll do them with you. They don't taste like shit anymore.
Really?
They taste like communion wafer.
So wait. Josh is such a sneaky partier. Like he doesn't look like it. It's the same way that like I wear a hat all the time, but I wear a hat on podcasts just so I don't feel like fucking dealing with hair. I don't even have any hair, but I just don't like. If it's parted weird, I just look bald. So I just go, I'll just wear a fucking hat. It's easier for me. Josh has a full head of hair.
Yeah.
And he still wears a hat all the time.
But it's also a hat that is advertising his podcast.
But still, like he's the same way he wears hats. He does that with partying. He's like, oh, no. I like to, like, I remember one time he gave me these edible mints and he just like popped them.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, what are those? He's like, oh, it's marijuana, like 20 milligrams. I was like, oh, isn't that a lot? And he was like, well, not for me.
Yeah.
And I was like,
he's hardcore. He's also like sneaky old.
Wait, how old is he?
He's like 87. Not for real, but like he's old. And
He's he's very grounded too.
You know, he's a grandparent.
Yeah, I do know that.
A couple of times.
Really?
We all travel, especially a lot of us fly American. We all see each other in Dallas. And I see Josh. I'm like, what's up, bro? And he's like, oh, fucking. So I was like, well, I'm going to the Admirals Club. Let's go to the Admirals Club. We go, we hang out. And he's like, yeah, we're just here seeing our grandkids. And I was like, oh, like I did the Scooby-Doo, like, oh, what?
Oh my God.
And he was like, yeah, we got grandkids. I was
he's
like,
46?
He's 46?
By the way, he's younger than I am.
Get the fuck. There's no way he's 46.
FaceTime with my daughter to check my fucking temperature on my
right,
brisket. If I just need her to pull one. I'm going to have her pull one. Hey, will you check the brisket one more time?
Oh my God.
What?
You
Please.
should have like a Nest Cam attached to it.
No, I should have a thing on my phone. Will you just check it? I might need you to pull it and wrap it in tin foil. Please.
Boy. In what world? In what world?
In this world, in the world where I can't even, there's certain things I can't even say to my daughter.
You should get Andrew to do this for you.
Andrew's working.
Yeah, this is work.
Where's mom?
She's hiding from you.
Just give me the temps on. Give me the temps on my briskets.
Hey, Mac is eating, but she's in the kitchen.
Mom's in the kitchen. Is she on the phone?
Yeah. No.
Okay. What do we got?
196, 169.
And should be one more temperature on there.
Which one? The
So,
one with the eye grill?
Turn it around. So I can see it. So what's that? Hang on. What's that say?
188.
Yeah, 196, 169.
Yes.
Oh, you're with mom?
Yes.
Hey, babe, can you do me a favor? Okay. Hold on. Hang on. Can you keep an eye on those? And will you pull that at 200 or 203, anywhere between there?
I don't know. I haven't had my phone calls about this today, so I'm not sure I can handle it.
Oh, you're being an ass. Come on.
You know how many fucking phone calls I've had about this goddamn brisket? Ridiculous. I don't want to cook a brisket. You were supposed to cook a brisket.
I know, but I have to work.
I'll just wrap them up, put the thing back in, and put them back in.
At 200 or 203, in between 200 and 203.
204. I know.
Pull that first one. Pull that first one, okay?
Between 200 and 204. Hey,
Okay?
I think Mac just bit a wasp. No. That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen, Mac.
All right.
Stop playing with it.
200. All right, I love you guys.
That's not a wasp.
Hey, listen, Leanne.
Dave's supremacy is real.
If you pull it at 200, you don't have to wrap it in tin foil. Just pull it and let it rest, okay?
Dave told me to pull it out and wrap it because the cut is so weird. He thinks it's going to be dry.
Okay. Oh, you've talked to Dave about this?
Yes, I've had so many fucking phone calls about this guy.
Is it bad? Okay. All right. Love you. Listen to Dave. I love you guys. Thank you. Sweet. You've talked to her about this?
Yeah, dude.
Oh, fuck. So I was like, I've called you once. What the fuck?
Listen, I don't mean to stroke you, but I'm like a huge fan of most of the things you do, and you and your wife are fucking hilarious.
She gets, I must be, I said to Joey, I said something about, today I was like talking about, he was like, dog, the fact that we're still fucking married. And I go, oh, I know, but yeah. And he goes, no, dog, we've been home for a year and we are big people.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, I am. I can be exhausting. Like I
Yeah.
called her last night. We did a podcast here last night, and I opened a bottle of wine. I don't drink and drive at all, so like I just go. If I drink, I just don't drive, and I just go. Hey, I gotta ride home. I'll leave my car here, and I don't have a problem coming to get my car in the morning, running to get my car. All that shit at school with me, and so I left my car, and she goes, "What the fuck are we gonna do about this car?" And I was like, "I don't know. We'll deal with it. We'll figure it out." She was like, "Wait, your car's just sitting there?" And I was like, "Who gives a fuck?"
Yeah.
She was like, "What if it gets stolen?" I go, "Then it gets stolen, I guess."
Yeah.
And then I learned a lesson. Like, what the fuck? Yeah, I must be exhausting to be.
I remember, so my dad as a kid traveled 200 days out of the year.
Grilling, barbecuing?
No, he was a salesman.
Okay, yeah.
And I remember for whatever reason, he was home for too long. And my mom was like, "Hey, you need to leave." And my dad's like, "Excuse me?" She was like, "Yeah, you need to go somewhere."
Oh, that is.
And my dad's like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm really starting to fucking hate you. So you need to leave."
I got into a fight with my wife one time. It was during a sober October month.
Yeah.
And I'd been, on the road partying. We get along really well when I'm on the road. And it's a sober October month. I was doing 2-a-days. I was going and doing hot spin. And we got into a fight before hot spin about taking the girls to school and what my day looked like. And just a bickering, like I'm busy. She's like, "You're not busy. Just don't go to this. And then you can do that." And I said, "Well, no, but we have heart rate. We have whoops on. I got to get my heart rate up." And I was like, "Babe, that's part of my business." And she was like, "It's not. There's a silly competition that you're doing with your friends." And I was like,
Yeah.
So we get into it. I go to hot spin. I'm driving back from hot spin and I call her. And right now, at the time I called her, probably 11 o'clock, it's when I would normally call her on the road, right?
Okay, yeah.
Like 10 o'clock, maybe 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, whatever. I'm calling her on the road. And she forgets that I'm home. And she forgets that we got into a fight. She goes, "Hey, babe, what are you doing?" And I was like, "Ooh, she seems cool." I was like, "I'm just coming home." She goes, "Where, you just get done radio?" And I went, "No." She was like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm coming home from spin." She goes, "Spin? You're doing spin on the road?" And I said, "No, I'm home." And she went, "Oh, I forgot."
Like it immediately flashed back.
And she was like,
"Oh, that's right."
But it was so crazy. She so easily forgot everything, forgave everything.
Yeah. And then they were like, "Oh yeah, no, I am mad at you."
Yeah. Oh, it was,
Yeah.
yeah. What was the workout you did the other day? The 15, you said you posted it the other day.
21.3.
So how does that work? 'Cause I've seen people go, I did 15.5.
Okay, so the first numbers of the year, like 2015, 15.1. All right, so there's a CrossFit Open every year. I've never done it. There's a lot of people that do CrossFit to compete. I do CrossFit so I can eat whatever the fuck I want and look like this.
I do CrossFit so I can do this.
Yeah.
And then also show up tomorrow and bust my ass.
And also CrossFit's a lot of fun.
I actually enjoy. I don't know if I do CrossFit technically, but I enjoy working out. I'm really enjoying it a lot.
Well,
lately.
CrossFit, HIIT, whatever you're doing, as long as you're changing it. Like I remember for the longest time, I went to 24-hour fitness. I had the same workout every day. Monday was chest day. Tuesday was
shoulders.
Yeah.
I did shoulders, bis, chest and tries, and then
legs,
back and lats or whatever.
Backs and lats, and then legs.
And it was monotonous. There was a beauty of the monotony, but then I remember going to my first CrossFit class and going like, "Oh, so if I don't look at the board and we're just doing it, then I don't really have any expectations of how crazy this is."
Yeah, but also it's like a lot. Like I like doing pull-ups. I like, what my favorite part is, and it's weird, but my favorite part is dropping the bar. When you do a huge lift and then you're just like, "I'm done with this shit," and it bounces, you're like, "Yeah, I'm a man."
Today we did, last week we did, I think 15 reps of 50s for bench, but just the dumbbells. We don't have the bar yet.
Yeah.
Just 15, but it was like 5 times. And I, towards the end, I was like, I'm getting gassed.
Yeah.
And then I did for flies, I did 25s, and for inclines, I did 30s. And then today I did the fucking 50s. I flew through them. And then I did 30s for flies and then 35s for inclines. And I went, "Oh, that's cool." Like I never really gained strength in my life.
Yeah.
But I've been so weak as an adult to regain strength. You're like, oh, this is fun. I feel healthy. I feel like I'm accomplishing something.
And also, like, I wasn't this strong when I was like, you know, how a lot of people were like chasing the fitness they were at 18. I'm so far beyond where I was at 18 years old. Like, I couldn't bench press my body weight at 18.
We just got that rack. I want to put that rack together. I'm dying. I said to her today, Lacey, I was like, I wonder what I can bench, because we did one morning drunk doing Rogan. We wanted to see if we could do 225. I could always do 225 my entire life.
Yeah.
And I could not. And I was stunned.
My senior year in high school, I couldn't bench press 95 pounds, which is about what I weighed.
For real?
Yeah. I was a skinny man, or skinny boy, really. And yeah, it wasn't until I found CrossFit and found this like regiment where it's like every day's different. You know, there is a heavy, you know, the heavy lifting is part of it, but there's also this weird workout where you're doing pull-ups and box jumps. Like, I've just always enjoyed like walking in and going, all right, what are we doing today?
That's a fun way to look at it, going, so tell me what it is.
Yeah. And then I just like today, like it was just like, you just keep marking the ones off the list, and it's just like a checklist. But also it's like, it's changed. It's weird. Barry Katz and I had a long lunch one time, and cause we were flirting with working together. It didn't pan out, but he was like, I see you doing a lot of CrossFit. I was like, yeah, it's really changed the way I've looked at just working, just because like right now I'm working on a screenplay and doing all this stuff. And it was like before, just the fact that like I have to write 120 pages, just the anxiety of that would be like, I can't do this. There's no way. And I would just give up before I even started. And CrossFit, a lot of the times, like you'd walk in and you were like, I can't fucking do this.
Yeah.
Like there's no way I can do all this. And then you do it just because you're there and you're like, oh, I can do it if you just... And it just changed the way I look towards things. And it's like, no, you can do it. You just have to have a plan. You have to figure out how you're going to do it. Also, signing up for Masterclass helps. And, but
What's Masterclass?
You don't know what Masterclass is?
Uh-uh.
It's a service. It's like, I asked for it for Christmas just because, you know, you reach a level at where you just buy whatever you want. So come Christmas, you're just like, what haven't I bought myself? So Masterclass, it's a app on all the devices, but It's got all these classes. Like I've watched stuff on negotiation, and then I watched one on screenwriting with fucking Aaron Sorkin. And I just watched it because I was cooking dinner and I didn't have another one to watch. And he just started talking about writing a movie, and they started talking about, he goes,
Masterclass.
It's like $120 a year, man. And you just watch it. I do it on the road.
It's an app?
It's an app, but it's also like 1,000 different videos.
I think I might have to get into this.
Dude, it's great. It's totally worth it. The Judd Apatow has a comedy one. Timbaland has one in case you're into wanting to make beats.
Hardcore into wanting to make beats? I kind of want to be a DJ.
Well, I brought you records.
Oh, yeah. Show me the records.
Okay, so... I know
Is
you're
it
into
8:30? Oh my God. I was like, fuck, we did a fucking Masterclass. I'm getting it right now. Hold on. Oh, it's expensive, huh?
Yeah, it's not cheap. It's like 120, is it?
Just almost double clicked $120.
All right. So they're my records, and you know, my comedy is what it is, but I just brought it to like show you like cool. I always try to, I don't sell t-shirts or anything.
Yeah.
Cause I don't have a merch guy. So I do records, but like all my records are different. Like this is my first special and this one's blue.
Oh, wow.
And then it's got this is an actual painting of me that a Kansas City artist did. Yeah. So I brought you that one.
Oh, hell yeah.
And
we were thinking about doing a wall of, because vinyls are pretty popular with comics now.
Yeah.
And doing a straight up wall of vinyls.
Well, I brought you two, so you're halfway there. This is my favorite. This is my newest special, A Man from Kansas. And I remember I went into Comedy Dynamics thinking I was going to have to fight really hard for this. And the meeting took like 4 minutes because
really
Comedy Dynamics is pretty awesome. So it's called A Man from Kansas. The entire front side of the record is the Great Seal of Kansas.
Oh my God.
And then on the other side, it says admit me free because Kansas is a free state, although there was a debate.
Holy shit.
But yeah.
I've never put any thought into my vinyls. My vinyls are right there. That's Secret Time.
Yeah.
And then Hey Big Boy. And I got them not thinking, and like, I guess they did. I didn't even want to do them. I didn't care to do them, but they did them for, I think for Grammy nominations, they have to make an album.
Oh, okay.
And so they made both of them. And it's my two favorite things that I have. I really love them. And I love comedy vinyls. Like I have Sam Kinison, I have Andy Griffin, I have a bunch of Richard Pryor, I have Eddie Murphy. I bought a bunch because I was like, I was in Sacramento one weekend. They had a great vinyl place over by Laughs Unlimited.
Okay.
And I just went through and started going through. I was like, fuck these. And they were cheap at the time.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And then you throw them on and you hear it. And it's got the crackle.
Dude,
those
crackle.
Old school ones.
Dude, that word's crazy is one of my favorite records.
Yeah. I have that one. And then Lynn Shawcroft gave me a Mitch Hedberg box set in vinyl.
Fuck out of here.
And she was like, you know, you're a fan of Mitch. And I was like, and I really started, and I thought to myself, I should do like a wall of my friends of like all my friends' vinyls. So that when people come in, they know, like at least so that, you know, you do the podcast. You're like, oh, I don't talk shit about that guy. He's up on his wall.
Lynn, first off, Lynn is one of my favorite people on the planet.
I love Lynn.
I was fortunate enough to get to open for Mitch a lot. You know, obviously before he passed, and
you didn't do any dates after.
No, it was weird,
guys. This next guy it's going to take him a while to get to the stage.
We paid a lot in electricity to get him up here, but yeah, no, it was Mitch and I worked together in Fort Lauderdale, and this is now that it's like there's been a special about it, so I can talk about it. I feel like, but this is just the kid I was at the time, but because I just thought. No way anyone I know is doing heroin.
Right. Well, I feel that way with racism.
Yeah.
I hear people talk about I see racist videos and I go, for real? Like who the fuck does that?
So I remember being outside with Mitch and my buddy Sleepy, who came down to Fort Lauderdale because he wanted to go on vacation. He also sold me really shitty weed for a couple of years.
Okay.
But I just remember smoking a joint with Mitch and I go, hey man, just so you know, everyone thinks you do heroin. And he was like, what? I go, yeah, man, everyone thinks you do heroin. And he was like, well, that's good to know. And not knowing that he very much did heroin at the time.
Very much did.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, I just think you should, I don't know who
you just were like, hey man, I know you smoke weed.
Yeah. There's
Everyone
no way you
heroin.
do heroin. Like, cause just in my mind, I was like, only Janis Joplin and the Rolling Stones do heroin. Like that's it. And then and then I don't know if that ingratiated me with him or whatever, but he started calling me to open for him. He's the one that got me into Stardom.
Really?
Yeah. Brought me into.
What was he like? What was he like to be around? Did you go to lunch with him and stuff?
No. Like, okay. So when I worked with him, he was in Fort Lauderdale. He was still using and he would just like disappear, but he'd always show up for the shows. But there were definitely times where everyone's like, where the fuck is Mitch? And then I remember that weekend he like changed hotels and didn't tell anybody. He was just like, and then when he showed up, he was like, I'm in Fort Lauderdale. Why would I stay in Plantation when I could be at the beach?
Makes sense.
Makes sense. Absolutely. And then when we worked together at the Stardome was after all this shit happened in Dallas and he almost lost a leg.
Ugh.
And so he wasn't using, but he was drinking massive amounts of vodka.
Was he really?
Yeah. And it was still like, I remember going out on stage and I would tell jokes about how I need mushrooms and weed. And then Mitch would come out and go, yeah, Chris was talking about I need mushroom weed. I like to add cocaine and Xanax to that drug shopping list. And I just remember I would go out and sell. This was before Mitch sold merch of any sort. And I would go out and sell t-shirts and then people would just hand me drugs. And then I would go back and we'd divvy it all up. And,
Wow. How fuck. I remember doing radio one time and people brought in drugs for us. And I was with friends that I grew up with. They ended up showing up. It was in Tampa. And they ended up doing them.
yeah, don't do
like,
strange drugs.
I was like, wait, guys, just so you know, we don't take pills. We don't know what they are.
No.
And they were like, yeah, we do. I was like, wow.
Dude, I remember on that same weekend, someone brought me wet mushrooms, like brand new mushrooms.
In Florida?
No, this was at Birmingham.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And it was that same Mitch week. And I remember getting home and ordering a pizza, and I was like, and I choked down these mushrooms.
I remember that feeling.
And I was like, and then 45 minutes into it, I was like, I don't know what the fuck I just ate, but it was not mushrooms. And then about 20 minutes after that, I was like, no, that was totally mushrooms. Holy Christ.
I remember someone in college we ate a bunch of mushrooms, and we had my car, and I wasn't driving. Someone who didn't eat mushrooms was driving, and I had put Rain-X all over the windows.
So it just beat up real good.
And I was in the front seat losing my mind as Rain-X beat it and just went, and I was like, fuck me. And I looked back, and in the back seat, I had a Jetta. 3 friends have their faces back, and they're watching rain run off the back window.
No way.
And I remember going like, fuck. We went inner tubing down the Ishnatuckney. It was one of the
Is this in Florida?
Yeah, the Ishnatuckney. And it was the first time I ever did mushrooms, and it was so much fucking fun. We giggled the whole time. It was very it was the way you're supposed to do mushrooms. It was, in my opinion, it was in the day. So it was but it started raining, and we all walked into a bathroom right before we put our inner tubes in. No one drank beer. Like, just all ate mushrooms. And then we got in our inner tubes and started floating. But it was like positive energy, and we were all like tethered to each other, and we were giggling. And thunder started hitting right when the mushrooms kicked in. Thunder was hitting, and you could hear it, but it was so overgrown Florida, because it's on a river. It's in the middle of nowhere, that we thought it was Jurassic Park. And we started giggling. We're like, this is Jurassic Park. And it was such a great, great, great experience. I look back, and then I've had bad ones, not bad ones, but not as enjoyable.
Yeah.
Mushrooms in the day for me were always like a shoe-in.
For sure.
Everything in the day. I like weed in the day. I mean, I like weed at night too, but
yeah, especially mushrooms. Like, if the first time you do, you definitely need to be somewhere that's comfortable. Even the first couple times, I remember I did a bunch of mushrooms at Red Rocks for an Allman Brothers, Chris Robinson thing.
Yes.
And then I ended up getting into a fight trying to find a seat. Like, I ended up arguing with this dude. And it was like at that onset of mushrooms where it's very amphetamine. Like, you're just like, Argh. And we ended up screaming at each other, and then we ended up sitting next to each other for the rest of the show. Like, it was the weirdest thing. We're like, yeah, man, sorry about that. But yeah, you just caught me at the wrong end of the trip.
It's interesting. It's some of the greatest shows to take mushrooms at, that there is an aggroness of people. I don't mean this like people that don't belong there, but people that are not the kind of fan you are, that show up and they want to step in front of you, and you're like, I had a good spot.
Yeah.
And I'm not
and also, just because I gave this guy 1.5 feet doesn't mean you get to stand there.
Right.
This is me just giving personal space.
I remember wanting to spit in a girl's hair, and I was so angry. I was at a Wilco show.
Fair enough.
We had these little cookies that were, lemon cookies that were edibles.
Yeah.
Didn't eat a lot, but ate enough. And had a few beers, and just the perfect buzz where you feel like your body lifts up and you're just kind of floating. And I just felt really good. And this girl just, excuse me. And I was like, first of all, in my head, I wanted to go you're not a Wilco fan. Why the fuck are you here? I know, you're not a fucking fat dad. That's who they make music for.
Yeah, for sure.
I was like, you're fucking just at a show. And
where's your dream catcher tattoo?
God damn it, man. And I was so angry at her. And I said something excuse me, I have a beer sitting right there. She was like, well, get it then. And I was like, I want to spit in your hair so bad. I wanted to spit in her hair so bad. I thought about that. I can tell you where I was standing. I can tell you the venue, all of the fucking shit. And then my wife could see I was losing my shit. She's like, stop. I was like, I can't stop.
No,
I can't stop. Blah, 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 blah. I've gone full Karen right now.
Dude, I'm the same way. You get me on something, I will literally just settle, especially at a concert. Like, I'm just trying to have a good time. And if you ruin it anyway, that's all I will focus on for the rest of the time. That's my Karen energy. Like when you go, like when you see a Karen that fucking lights up and starts yelling at someone because they're barbecuing in a park or whatever, and whatever the fuck the Karens do. Or happen to be a minority.
I could be Karen. I could Karen the fuck out of people at concerts.
Oh, for sure. Oh, dude. My dad had to pull me off a dude because he was being an idiot and he backed into my mom. And and kind of gave her a look like, what the fuck are you doing? And I was like, I go, excuse me. My dad's like, hey, let it go. And an hour later, if I would have saw that dude, I would have fucking punched him in the face.
You know, it's so funny. I got into a fight with a guy who had a Gore. Who did Gore run with? Gore. Was it Gore? Who was he? No, Gore. Al Gore.
Al Gore. And shit.
Type in Al Gore. Well, maybe it was Clinton Gore. It was a Clinton Gore sticker.
Was it?
And it was a unique looking Audi or Volvo.
Okay.
Old school Volvo, unique looking. And the guy was such a cunt. And I remember thinking, your personality doesn't line up with your politics.
Yeah.
Like, I remember we were on Ventura, over by Ventura and Laurel Canyon, and the guy zoomed in front of me, cut me off, and then I kind of gave him a honk, and then he punched his brakes.
Yeah.
So like fucking, and I was like, in my head, I was like, this couldn't have been his car. Like, he must have bought a used car that had the sticker. A guy that supports Clinton Gore doesn't do that. And I was just like, whatever. And I pulled up next to him. I did two things. I let him win the argument, and he was an asshole. I let him win the argument, so I thought, if I allow him to succeed here, he'll continue this behavior, and then one day he's going to get the shit beaten out of him. I'm never going to be the guy that beats the shit out of him. Yeah. But if he thinks that this behavior works, then one day it's going to catch up with him. And then the other thing I thought was, I'll never forget this car. I'll never forget this car.
I feel like, and I know I'm wrong, but I feel like you should get out of a assault charge if you were like, he was being an asshole and I was trying to teach him a lesson.
Oh.
Because he's done Your Honor, he does this shit all the time.
Yes.
And I'm just trying to fucking put a stop to it.
You want to hear the fucking ultimate? So me and the girls are walking to school one day. This happened. It happened when the girls were in grade school. So Georgia was in 5th grade. I was in 3rd grade.
Okay.
So this is a while ago. And we walk out. Now, our street is a one-way street, but also there's a lot of shit at the end of our street. You've been to my house, right?
Is this not your house?
No, this is now, but
okay.
the other one we have, yeah. A smaller house.
Yeah, I was there. Yeah.
And so there was a lot of shit there. So a lot of times people would go to get their shit, and then they just drive the wrong way on our street, which is a one-way street. It's very cool. It happens all the time. Can't attach energy to it because you can't change it, Bert. So let it happen. You're not going to affect change. Let it happen. So one day we walk out, and a guy zooms up. Me and the girls are on their bikes. Me and Leanne are getting on our bikes, and a guy zooms up by us like fucking vroom, and I almost could have very easily hit one of the girls. And I go, "Hey, asshole!" And the guy is already now past us, and he stops, puts it in reverse, and comes up, and he goes, "You have a problem?" Now, by the way, he's an older man.
Yeah.
He's not my age. He's maybe like, I'll say 65.
So you're not worried about it?
I'm not worried, but he was so aggro. "You have a fucking problem?" And I was like, "Hey, you almost hit my children." And he goes, "Get out of the middle of the street." And I said, "This is a one-way street. You're not supposed to be going this direction." And he goes, "I live around here." It's always everyone's fucking.
Yeah.
Like, I live around here. I can break the law because I live around here. And so this is my local place.
That means nothing.
I go, "Learn how to fucking drive, asshole." And he goes, you have a problem?" And I said, "I have a definite fucking problem." Leanne goes, "Bert, we're going to school." And now the girls are like, "Dad." And I'm like, "Go fuck yourself." And he goes, "Fuck you." And he takes off, right? Literally. I'm going to say 3 weeks later, that's not real. Maybe 2 months later. 2 months later. Because that's probably real. It felt like the next day. I see that same guy, and he's with his wife, and his wife is reteaching him to walk. He has had a stroke.
No way.
And he is walking up my street. Face is gone, like this to the side, arms gone, legs gone. And he's walking, and they're walking from their same local spot that they go. And I see him, and I pull down the street, and he makes eye contact with me. He knows what house I lived in. He saw me come out of the house. And I thought, there's a lesson to be learned there. I don't know what it is. I mean, I guess don't be a fucking asshole and you don't get strokes. I don't know. But like, I remember looking at him going, this motherfucker lived his life in this like, fuck you, go suck my dick.
And it got him.
Yeah. And that shit builds up. And one day, as opposed to being the person that just goes like, take the charge, man. Like, whatever. And by the way, I was being an asshole to him too. Like I was right back at him. But I looked at that and I was like, don't be that guy. Don't be the guy that's like, oh, I fucking live here. Like that energy is so fucking unhealthy.
But you didn't roll down the window and go, looking good, bro.
Oh, I wish I was so sad. I was so sad looking at him, and he saw me pulling into the fucking house.
So similar story, not quite the same. I'm no longer, like legally, I'm not allowed at the Power and Light District in Kansas City because one night we were there drinking and we're at the Power and Light District is basically a bar mall. Okay. Like there's just like 18 bars and you can walk to 1,000 of them. We're at the Country Bar and it's got, instead of a velvet rope, it's got a real rope with like wooden.
Yeah.
What are those called? They're not sconces.
I know what you're talking about. Like the.
Yeah. And my cousin goes, man, these things are shitty. And he like, look how weak these are. And he pushes one over and he picks it back up and puts it right back where it was.
Yeah.
Next thing I know, we're surrounded by 6 security people. My cousin is humongous and built, especially at the time, is just a giant muscle. And they come up and they're like, you guys need to leave. And I was like, what? And they go, yeah, your buddy knocked over the whatever it is. I go, yeah, but he picked it up. He was just showing me how fucking weak it was. And he was like, yeah, no, you got to go. And he put his arms on my cousin. So I put my hands on him, not aggressively, but I go, hey, fuck you. And then I had more things to say, but weird.
I'm just starting right now.
Yeah, no, that was my intro. It was like, fuck you. And then, cut to, I'm wrestling 8 dudes.
Ooh.
Like they just came at me and I'm trying to push them off. Long story short, I get arrested for trespassing and then hired a lawyer. They're like, he was there for 30 seconds after you told him to leave and then you arrested him. So it was like, there was no trespassing. And, but I remember the dude. So then my sister worked at that same bar mall. Oh. So I walked 2 months later, she calls and like, I forgot my ID. I forgot something. I'm in town. I was like, I'll bring it to you. No problem. I bring it to her. Now I'm surrounded by 6 security dudes. And they're like, can we see your ID? I was like, no, I haven't done anything wrong. I was like, I literally brought my sister, whatever the fuck it was. And anyway, the lead dude was the same dude that was the dick.
God.
He ended up getting hit by a car during a scuffle. And it took everything inside of me not to send him flowers and be like, sorry about the car.
Fuck. I love on-demand things, whether it's blockbuster movies being released at home. I love that. I love food delivery. I love anything the fact grocery shopping online, curbside pickup, remote health checkups. I mean, everything. I just did a doctor's visit on. I love it. Your customers have grown to expect a simpler way of doing business, no matter what your product. And that's why more than 90,000 local businesses of all size have turned to Podium. Whether you have one location or 1,000, Podium can help you stay ahead. Podium makes doing business as easy as sending a text. When the text gets opened, business gets done. All your employees can text from a single inbox, offering a smoother experience for your customer. Answering questions? Send a text. Collecting reviews? Send a text. Scheduling an appointment or delivery? Send a text. Payment collection? Just send a text. Car dealerships are selling more cars by offering text messages. A dealer just sold a $50,000 truck in 4 text messages. How easy is that? Dealerships are running profitable service centers with easier appointment schedules and reminders. Home service providers are responding faster and winning more jobs than their competition. Retailers are increasing their revenue by allowing customers to shop via text messages. Local service professionals, I just had someone come over to my house via text. The girls are happy about it. Today, customers expect on-demand everything, even from local businesses. Stay ahead of the competition with Podium. They have free plans for growing businesses, plus all the power growing businesses need to scale. Get started today for free at podium.com/Bert. That's podium.com/Bert. This podcast is brought to you by Bird Dogs. Bird Dogs are my favorite. I'd say all season short because I live in California. So it's an all season short for me. It's perfect for a Sunday. These pants are perfect for me on a Sunday when you are in the pool, grilling, watching TV. They dry so quickly. Start your day off with a workout, get into the sauna, jump in the pool, throw on some dogs on the grill, have a few cold beers. And at the end of the night, you're sitting in those exact same pants. They are bone dry. And you're having a cigar by the fire pit. I mean, they've got great, I should read some of their copy. I always get lost because these are pants I actually wear. It's peak summer, which means Bird Dog shorts are back. They're the best, most comfortable pair of shorts that have ever existed. They have great, soft, built-in underwear. That's what I was talking about. That's why you can work out in them. And they're perfect for doing literally anything. That's what I just said. Beach, golf, brunch, pool. They're short shorts of the summer. Bird Dogs stole Lululemon's designer and are just doing it better. And Bird Dog's new summer styles are on their website. Check out the summer styles. I have a pair of seersuckers ones that I cannot stop wearing. And I mean, look, let's be really honest. American flag ones, all day, every day. Go to birddogs.com and enter the promo code BERT, and they're going to throw in a free Bird Dogs whistle tip football. It's exactly like those Nerf footballs that you used to have as a kid. They must have beach toy of the summer. That's birddogs.com and use the promo code BERT and boom, a free Bird Dogs whistle tip football with your pair of Bird Dogs. You will not take these things off. I promise you. Your wife might, but you won't. I think about sometimes like bad stuff happening to people and the people that celebrate it.
Yeah.
And the people that go, oh.
Yeah, it's bad. Like I don't think bad things should happen to anybody.
No, I don't.
But also, if you've done some seriously bad shit to me.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people I think that should get cancer that don't have it.
Yeah.
I go, how do you not have cancer? Like, karma is one thing. Like, you should have cancer. Like, how the fuck do you not have cancer? Like, how do children get cancer? How does a child get brain cancer and you don't have it?
But also, when homeboy got the stroke, you're kind of like, yeah, man, maybe if you weren't so fucking high wired all the time.
Maybe if you had a little bit of fucking empathy in your life, you go like I try not to live in absolutes. I had a buddy who ended up killing himself because he lived in absolutes. And it was like
lived in absolutes how?
Like Janine Garofalo one time. Janine Garofalo said she was like a vegetarian or someone. I'm paraphrasing. It's my memory. My memory's shit. Janine Garofalo said she was a vegetarian, and he was like, and that she would never eat meat again. And he lost his shit. He was like, "Fuck her, fuck her forever." And I was like, "Well, I love Janine Garofalo," so I was like, "Well, hold on, what? I mean, she's pretty sexy." And he was like, "No." He goes, "Anyone who says this is it forever." Fuck him. Like he would get tethered to like the idea that like certain things would fucking turn him off. Like I love good gossip and he hated gossip.
Yeah.
And he could never like wrangle the fact that I liked gossip. That I
But you
enjoyed
like gossip for entertainment value. You don't believe most of it.
I like when we talk shit.
Yeah,
I just got some good gossip on my phone that I'll share with you later.
Oh, yeah.
I like gossip like with us, with the comics.
Speaking of gossip,
Please.
just because we're good.
What a great name for a podcast.
We're
Just
good friends,
gossip.
and we've never discussed this. But is the Van Wilder movie about you? And is that a sore subject? Did I bring up something bad?
No, not at all. It's kind of tricky because I had nothing to do with it. So I was written up in Rolling Stone magazine as a number one party animal in the country. Me and that journalist sold the rights to our life to Oliver Stone.
Okay.
And so rights to my life and then the rights to the article. So they were tethered. And they were like, we want to do a movie about this journalist finding this party animal, and the journalist changes and the party animal changes. And I was like, cool. I wrote a script with a guy named Keith Henstreet called The Undergraduates.
Okay.
And I sent it in to Oliver Stone's company, and they were like, nah, this isn't what we're looking for. It's got to be attached to the writer. I was like, what? And they're like, it's because it was the article that got sold.
Yeah.
It had to be attached to the writer and the kid. And I was like, all right, whatever. I don't have any interest in writing that movie. And so I ended up doing this deal with Will Smith, and then
So they wanted more of like an Almost Famous kind of film.
yeah, kind of, yeah. Actually, that's a really good analogy. And then I was like, whatever. I just ended up doing a show with Will Smith, and then Will Smith and I developed something very similar to, probably actually not very similar to Van Wilder, but like what was the cat that used to, not Top Cat? Was it Top Cat? Top Cat?
I don't know.
Sergeant Bilko was about one guy who kind of had everything wired. Anyway,
Okay.
we ended up doing a show about this guy that was at college that had everything wired at college, and he was a 7-year senior. It was similar to Van Wilder, but no. Imagine if you take the journalist out of it, I guess.
Okay.
And by the way, I haven't seen Van Wilder, so everything.
Oh, you've never seen it?
I've never seen it. So,
Which is interesting because I've never seen Breaking Bad because I went to producers for Jamie Paul's part.
really,
Yeah. And I don't have any ill
I feel the same way.
Will-
I feel the same way about Van Wilder.
because Jamie originally that part was only supposed to be 2 episodes and the kid dies.
Really,
And then Jamie Paul was so great
yeah.
that the test audiences were like, you can't kill this kid.
He's pretty fucking badass, that
Yeah.
dude. But yeah, and so I ended up doing a show with Will Smith, didn't get picked up. We were at Fox, and then I ended up getting a TV show, and I have a TV show, and then I'm doing another show. I have another deal at CBS, and then I get a call from my agents, and they're like, "Hey man, that movie that you were developing, that turned into a real thing. Like they made it." And I was like, "What?" And they're like, "Yeah, it's called Van Wilder." And I had seen the poster for it, like there was like a billboard or something. There was something for it. I wasn't unfamiliar with it, and I was like, "Shut the fuck up." I was a big fan of Ryan Reynolds because of Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place.
Okay.
And the guy that wrote my first pilot, the one that about not Van Wilder, but the one about me being a party animal in college, he wrote for Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place, and he would fucking blow up Ryan Reynolds about how this kid's gonna be a star.
Yeah.
And I was like, really? And he was like, yeah. And I liked him. By the way, I also found a parallel between Ryan Reynolds and Dane Cook, and I like Dane, and so I loved Ryan Reynolds. So anyway, they called me up. I can tell you where I was. I was on Venice, over by that. There used to be a Starbucks in Venice by like by the Sony lot.
Okay.
And I got a call from my managers and agents, and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna shout out to Barry Katz on this, by the way." They're like, "Hey, the movie that you were developing, it got made, and it's going out into movie theaters, and we'd like to sue." And I was like, "Okay," because I don't know anything, and I was like, "Okay." And they're like, "Yeah, we just want to get on the phone, get everyone's attack plan." And Barry Katz hopped on the phone, and he was like, "I'm Barry, catch me up, Papa. What are we talking about here?"
Does he still rep you?
At the time, no.
okay.
I don't work with Barry anymore. But Barry's a great guy.
Yeah.
And he said, they said, "So you remember that movie you were developing? They made it, and it's called Van Wilder, and we want to sue." And Barry was like, "Okay, how do you feel, Papa?" And I said, "I don't know, Barry. I mean, I guess we should sue, right? How much money do you think we'll make?" And Barry goes, "Well, I'm going to tell you one thing. There's 2 types of people in this industry, Papa. there's people who work and there's people who sue. And I said, really? And he goes, pick which one you want to be. Because if you sue, you'll never work again. And I was like, I'm already working. And I didn't have like, it definitely wasn't my story. I didn't write it. I had nothing to do with it. It was just, I guess they read the article and they created the.
But nothing about that movie is similar to your
Nothing
story.
similar to my life at all.
Okay.
By the way, I haven't seen the movie. I know that my friends' names are still in it. That's the only thing I know.
Okay.
Is they kept my friends' names, which bummed me out at the time because my buddy Hutch is like, that's the best name ever for a character.
Yeah.
And they kept that in. They give that to that guy, Tech Nine. Tech Nine was a
Kansas City rapper.
Not that Tech Nine.
Oh, okay.
By the way, shout out to that Tech Nine. I actually know that Tech Nine.
Dude,
I almost got IVs with that Tech Nine.
You want to talk about a dude that worked really hard and lived in relative obscurity for a while.
Yeah, he's a fucking great guy.
He's a great dude. You remember Deja Vu in Columbia, Missouri?
Yeah.
One night, I was doing I was headlining. He showed up. He rapped downstairs to like this. He just literally brought a CD, and then he rapped over it. And then we hung out in the VIP room, and he brought these like super hot girls with him. And I go, and one of them's dancing on him, and we kind of make eye contact. And I go, man, it sucks to be you. And he just starts laughing. And I go, what's up? And he goes, that's literally the tagline to my next hit. And that song came out. He was like, sucks to be me. And but he was like the first from Kansas City.
Yeah.
He was the first light that you could see that was like, you can do shit. Like you can be from Kansas City and you can make waves.
It's crazy the way this business has changed so much and that you can do your own thing and make your own thing and make it for real. Like just go like, fuck everyone else. I'm going to do it.
Just keep, and it took like, to me, Tech Nine's best record is still Angelic, which is like his first one. But it didn't blow him up. It made a name for him. And then you do a track with the Yin Yang Twins and all of a sudden you're humongous.
We were supposed to do hydration therapy.
Yeah.
Vibe and Rally, I think is the name of the company. I think out of Kansas City. I hope so. And they said, hey, do you want to do it with Tech Nine? He's like a friend of ours. And we were like, fuck yeah. And then because of COVID, it was just too complicated because it was we were all lined up to be doing it. And I was like, we couldn't do it. But we ended up listening to a bunch of Tech Nine on the bus.
Dude, one of the coolest things when the Royals were in the World Series 14 and 15 was seeing Tech right behind the home plate. And you were just like, there's a dude that started from nothing, stayed in Kansas City and just kept working. And now he owns the 4 most expensive seats in the country right now.
Yeah. You think to yourself, right? I always had this mentality of like, so podcasting right now, we're all fighting for like global supremacy is the wrong word, but also that's
what you're
trying to make it as big as you can get it in the world.
You're
right?
hoping for Rogan supremacy.
Yeah. Right. And so, but then I go, what if like my buddy Tom Hayslip, is a friend of our family friends. It's like our best family friends.
Yeah.
He's very simple. He's a movie producer and he lives a very nice life, but his mentality is very simple. He doesn't wear a lot of different clothes. He wears a lot of the same clothes.
Yeah.
He likes the same drink. He likes certain things. Like he always likes to eat things out of a bowl, like just little things that are just very eccentric, but very him. Yeah. And one day we're in the beach in Clearwater and I was really frustrated. I was like, why am I not like, what's going on with me? He's got a beautiful house at the time. Well, we have our house.
This?
What?
When was this?
This was a while ago.
Okay.
It's when I was on Travel Channel.
Okay.
And he goes, can I tell you what your problem is? I said, yeah. And he goes, you're all over the map. I said, what do you mean? He goes, you're like, I want to be a podcast. I want to have a television show. I want to do stand up. I want to do a special, but I'm not. He's like, and I said, but you've accomplished so much. He goes, no. I'm a very simple person. He goes, I say to myself, I want a bigger house. So then I just look at my finances and I skinny them up until I can afford a bigger house and know where my nut is. Yeah. And then I get that bigger house. And then I say, cool. well, what do I want now? And so I go, well, I would like a second house in Atlanta that I can rent out. And I go, okay. So I look at the budget and he goes, I'm very simple. I just do the job I do and I get the things I want. And he goes, you need to figure out what you want. And then he did this breakdown. I ended up not doing it, but he goes, let's start here. Where do you want to live? This is, by the way, before everyone started leaving Los Angeles. He goes, where do you want to live? And I said, anywhere. He goes, no parameters on anything. Where do you want to live? I said, Key West. He goes, okay. How could you afford to live in Key West? I said, I don't know. I stand up and podcast. He goes, what if you did like a podcast in Key West that was just based out of Key West? And he goes, let me pivot you for a second. He goes, they're making a lot of movies out of Cuba. Could you live in Cuba? I said, I would love to live in Cuba. He goes, what if I said we could get you a podcast out of Cuba and all these celebrities that come to shoot movies in Cuba, you go in and that's your people that are on your podcast. And I was like, this would be fucking great. And he goes, well, why don't you move to Cuba and start a podcast and just very simply start there and then build and then get a nice house in Cuba and you can live your life that you want to live in Cuba. It was so simplistic that I was like, yeah, what the fuck am I doing in LA? Like I'm all over the map in LA trying to do like, just throw a bunch of fucking lures in the water, hoping something hits.
Throw shit against the wall.
And I think that with podcasting is I think there are people probably listening right now that go, I want to start a podcast. And I go, why put your foot in the fucking water up against Rogan and fucking Bill Burr? But like, all these big podcasts, why not go super small? Why not start a podcast and Tech Nine it? Start a podcast in Kansas City and go, I'm going to own Kansas City and go and start going up to and just do specific Kansas City shit. Have all the Royals on your podcast, have all the Chiefs on your podcast, get all the fucking, start with the linemen, they're podcast fans. and then just slow roll it and then go, let's go to a car dealership. Let's get ourselves, the way basic radio is running, why not do a podcast that way?
That's what I did with my career. Like I watch so many people, especially when you first start. You start in Florida. Like when you're 18 months in, 2 years in, there's definitely like your growth becomes exponential and there's people that make it and there's people that you see aren't going to make it. And those people are still doing the same open mics that they were doing 20 years ago. But the point is, I saw so many of my friends come out here to LA and they were back in 6 months.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes 6 weeks. And it was because they weren't ready. They also weren't ready for the struggle that was about to happen. They thought, I'm big in Kansas City, so I'm going to be huge in LA. All I got to do is 1 or 2 sets. And it's like, nah, man.
Yeah.
It's a whole different deal.
You can't tell jokes about the pitching machine in Kansas City.
No,
like
or Metcalf or whatever the fuck. You know what I'm saying? You can't. And so like, I watched all those people and I was like, I'm not going to leave for LA until it's the last thing I can do. And I feel like that's probably what he was on a bigger scale. It's like, don't leave until you have to.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand why Rogan left.
I do.
Like the tax alone is good. But why a lot of people left LA, I don't really understand it.
I don't understand why a lot of people I think left for the wrong reason. I think a lot of people are leaving because Joe left and because Joe said it's okay. And they were like, well, if Joe's doing it, then if I follow him, I can also succeed. And maybe I'll run into Joe. Maybe I'll have him on my podcast. And I just go, that's not, by the way, I just want you to know that's not who Joe respects.
Yeah.
Like that's not, Joe respects the guy that does live, the man or woman that lives their own life, creates their own thing, and then says, here's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then goes, oh, I'm fascinated. How did you do that? It's such a silly, like, but I don't have a problem with people leaving LA and going, I'm going to go to Nashville. It's cheaper. There's nothing going on for the next fucking 2 years. I'm going to do my own thing.
I get that. But also like those people never wanted to be in LA in the first place. They just came out here because to them it was better than New York.
Yeah, they picked LA or New York as opposed to like that's why I always love when dudes started in different places. Like you'd run into people like you or Nikki Glazer or Tommy Johnigan or like people that just go, I just do the road and then I'm gonna fucking end up where I end up.
Yeah.
It's like I always looked at that, and I was just saying this to someone the other day. I was like, those are the people that redefine comedy for me. When you'd go out, I remember the first time watching you perform and going like, who the fuck is this? And you're like, oh, this guy's got chops, man. This guy does it for a living. He's not a guy doing like 8-minute sets in a fucking laundromat in Los Feliz. He's a guy who's doing 30 minutes on the reg every night, going up before murderers, and then now having murderers go up in front of him.
Yeah.
And you go, that's the comic you want to be. Fuck everyone's race. Like I remember going onto the road and people were like, why do you do the road so much? And I was like, dude, that's how you get good.
Dude, I was in Tampa a couple years ago and I took it as a compliment, but also it was like the hardest weekend I've had in forever. Have you ever had to follow Tricks?
No.
The comic Tricks?
No.
He's in Vegas now. Black dude. I'm telling you.
I assume that based off the name.
Just but like genuinely funny. Just like funny all the time. And they put him up in front of me because they're like, we know of all people that you could follow him. Bert, the Friday night late show. You know that table we all sit at the Tampa Improv?
Yeah.
The one right by the bathrooms where you sit right before you go up.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I was sitting there and a woman, and Trix is up there destroyed as he should and as he always does. And a woman came up to me and she goes, "Are you next?" And I go, "Yeah." And she goes, "How are you going to follow that?"
That's a person that does not know comedy, but knows fucking humor and
but also like
the idea that an average person in the audience would think that thought, that shows you how good that person is.
Yeah. And I was like, and I go, I don't know. And it got to the point during the weekend where I'd be like, give it up for Tricks.
Ooh.
Amazingly funny. You're probably wondering how I'm going to be funnier than that guy. I'm not. I'm going to be as funny for periods, but fucking buckle up.
Yeah.
And I love Tricks. Like he's a great dude, but it was like that weekend made me become a better comic. Cause I was like, I got to worry about the next time Tricks opens for me.
I worked with a dude named Damn Fool.
Okay.
And boy, I had a hard time following him.
Yeah.
He was, and it wasn't even like you couldn't shit on it. Like it's okay if I can shit on it. It's a brilliant,
dude, if they're funny, they're funny.
Yeah.
Michael Malone, same way.
Mike Malone's great.
He opened for me. Not only was he funny, but he was super clean at the time.
Yep.
He says fuck all the time now, but at the time he was super clean.
John Christ.
I remember walking on stage after Michael Malone and I was like, because I'm watching him off stage and I was like, how do I let this audience know that things have changed? So I literally did the most offensive joke I could right up top, which was a poor choice on my part. But I was like, I'm just going to let them know.
Here's my problem with homosexuality.
And I can't remember what the joke was, but it was pretty dark.
Yeah.
And I remember I did the first joke and I hit the punchline. It was in Dayton and nothing happened. And then after about like a full 2 seconds, a girl goes, boo.
Oh my God.
And like, but again, like that weekend I learned a lot of things.
You learned. That's the fucking greatest part of this business is like, you know how many times I had to follow, I've follow it just at the store. It's like going up after Ralphie. And you're just like, I remember one time going up after Ralphie. He's like, put your hands together. This next brother, he's a funny motherfucker, one of my best friends, Bert Kreischer. And he comes off and he opens the curtain. He goes, give me a minute. I'm getting a standing ovation. And I went, huh? And he goes, give me one. Oh shit, you guys are too good. All right, one more joke. And I went, motherfucker. And they're all on their feet. And then he goes, all right, good luck, player. And I was like, ugh.
Dude, you tell that story all the time about you opening for me and Aaron being there. And
all the time. It's one of my, it's part of my life and it's one of my favorite stories ever.
But also on the opposite side of that, you killed that show. Like that was not.
Oh yeah, but I remember watching you. That's one of those times, and there's a handful of people that you'll run into in this career where you go, "Who the fuck is that?" Like,
yeah.
or you see them in a new light. Like I remember watching Tony Hinchcliffe one time tell a story about his parking garage, and I was like, you think Tony's one thing because you know him as one thing, like a joke writer for
Jeff
and all those roasts, and then you see him tell a story, and you're like, God damn it! I remember watching it for Burr. I remember watching Burr transition out of what he was to what he is today. I can tell you, I remember all of it. I remember being there. There's just times as a comic where you sit back and you go, "Who the fuck is that?" I remember being with Gary Goldman. We watched Daniel Tosh for the first time, and Gary Goldman said, I apologize if Gary doesn't like the story, but like, and sometimes I just talk so quickly, I forget that they're real people. And then they're like, hey man, I didn't say that. And you're like, whatever. Okay. But like, I remember Gary saying to me, we were dying laughing in the back. And Gary goes, this guy works nonstop. And I went, what? And he goes, Google his fucking tour dates. And
you're talking about Burr?
Daniel Tosh.
Oh, Daniel Tosh, yeah.
And I went home that night and I looked at his tour dates and he was like, he worked every fucking day.
Yeah.
And I was like, I remember, and then I became friends with him and I was like, this is when you're young and you're like, so wait, how much money do you make at college? And he just goes, oh, I make about $700,000 a year. And you're like,
shit.
What? And you're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, like when you're young and you just don't know, that you can't ask and you can't tell. I remember one time going, hey, how much did you make for that commercial? And he just texted it back to me. This is how much I made. Don't tell anyone. Yeah. And I was like, fuck.
Can I say this about Tosh?
Please.
One of the few people that made it big and became a cooler person.
By the way, he actually did. Well, I've never.
He wasn't a great person when he was not rich. That being fair. But like, I remember he and I, like, I've known that dude since he was barely headlining.
He was a road guy.
He was definitely a road guy. And I was supposed to feature for him one night in Kansas City. He brought his own feature and he like came up to me, like, we're going to work it out. And the workout was, I wasn't working.
Yeah.
And then like years later, when he was the biggest, like as big as he could be, I remember seeing him at the Comedy Magic Club and he couldn't have been nicer. He was like, hey man, how's it going? And like, he remembered shit from the last time we talked.
Yeah.
And Burr, like he and I became friends right as the thing happened. And he was very much like, hey man, you're going to experience this. It's going to be cool. And then like 6 months later, it's going to get weird. And Burr's still one of those dudes that I can text all the time, and he's the same person that he was pre-Philadelphia story.
Yeah. Yeah. Burr, Tosh is an interesting dude because I've never had anything but really great interactions with him.
Yeah.
So I always go like, but I do know that people have said, and I felt this way about Dane. Dane got a lot more comfortable in his skin the more successful he got. He was a little easier of a person to be around for me.
That must have been with you because it was different with me. Like just recently has Dane, like I remember right before pre-Pandy, like just pre-Pandy.
Yeah.
I walked off stage at the Laugh Factory and he was like, hey man, you're funny. You've always been really funny. I just wanted you to know that. And that was the first time. Cause like, I remember Dane like during the height and then he was like a Seinfeld-esque figure where like, if he was at the Improv, like you didn't even talk to him. Like you just let him walk by and you were just happy that you were in his presence.
Yeah.
And then there was that period where he just sat in the corner and was on his phone until it was time to go up. Yeah. And then he would go and do an hour and bump like half this. And then that has all settled down to where he's just like a normal comic that when you walk off stage, he's like, great set, man. And you're like, what the fuck? Who the fuck are you?
Yeah. I think I'm also a different age. So like, I only know these guys as my age. So like, I don't remember. I remember Dane blowing up. I remember him bumping people, but that was the energy of everyone at that time.
Yeah,
that I was
Carlos
like,
did that a lot.
yeah, and then you just were like, that's what people do, I guess.
Yeah.
I remember and I had kids.
But I never wanted to be that. Like, even
I've never bumped anyone. And to this day, I have never said to someone, I got to get out of here early.
yeah,
If you text me, you tell me what time. Like if I do 2 shows on the at the store, and it's like at 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, they're gonna put me up last at the 8 o'clock, and then probably earlier at the 10 o'clock, so I can get out. Because they know I have kids, and so I go cool. By the way, if they put me last at the 10 o'clock and last at the 8 o'clock, I get that also. I understand that. I'm not going to be shitty about it. I also know that those are my spots.
yeah.
And so I'm not going anywhere. I don't have anywhere to be. My kids are asleep. My wife's asleep. This is when you need me, this is when you need me. I never got the opportunity to bump people. I don't know. When things go back to normal and we go to the store and all of a sudden you look at the lineups and you're like, I don't know any of these people. I'm going to fucking come in and bounce. Yeah. Maybe I would. I'm not saying. I'm just trying to be accountable for shit I don't know.
There was definitely a time where like if I could move the situation, I would.
Oh, I've never been able to do it. Like I just never had any clout.
There was definitely a time during the last comic standing stuff where I remember walking into the Improv and they're like, "Yeah, you have heat. You can go up." And I was like, "Well, that's a weird thing to say in front of somebody." But yeah, like there were definitely times where like if they're like, "Do you want to like when am I up?" And they're like, "In 4. Do you want to go up earlier?" I was like, "Well, yeah, if I can."
Yeah.
But
if I could go. Oh, if anyone ever said, "Oh yeah, 100%." If they're like, "Hey man, I can get you out of here early if you want," you're like, "Oh yeah, fuck yeah." And by the way, I remember getting bumped by Jeff Dye one time, and I remember just realizing this is where I'm at in my life.
I remember Carlos been like,
and by the way, Jeff, just to be clear, Jeff didn't go get me out of here. They were like, "Hey, we got this guy here. Yeah. He's on Last Comic Standing. We think he's gonna win. He wants to go up and do a spot. He's gonna go up in front of you. You cool with that?" And I remember just going like, "That's where I'm at in my career. Yeah, I don't have a problem with it."
Yeah, you gotta take it for what it is. Like, granted, if someone came up to me and was like, "Hey, this person wants to go up," and I didn't respect their comedy, I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go." But if they're like, "Hey,"
I've also bailed on spots where they go, "Hey, just so you know, what's his name's gonna go up." I'm like, "Cool. Just so you know, I'm leaving. I'm cool with that. I'm very cool with that."
That's happened a lot of the comedies, not lately, but like definitely during the Tommy days. Like I'd show up and they'd be like, "Yeah, Carlos is doing 45," and I'd be like, "Okay, well you don't need me then.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go home."
Yeah. That's your honeypot.
You got that, and then by the time he's done, it's time for the fucking hopefuls to go up.
Maybe the way we get Rogan back to LA is I just become unbearable at the Comedy Store. I'm bumping people and I'm doing hours, and then Joe's like, "Fuck that! I gotta remind Bert who he is." And he moves
you gotta
back.
Steal people's material.
I start stealing people's
material. Steal like girls' material. Like, what's up with my vagina?
Hey guys, what's so weird about people coming inside of you, right? How come no girls talk about getting cummed in? I think about that so much. We should probably wrap this up. We've been going for fucking 4 hours. 3 hours.
There's no way.
Where are we at? 3 hours. We should wrap this up. I have a fucking brisket.
Okay, sorry.
I have a brisket. By the way, I've just Googled.
By the way, this is like a dream come true for me just because the first time we ever did this, like I showed up thinking it was just like a 1 hour regular. And I remember you being, you weren't upset, but you were definitely disappointed because I was like, "No, I have to go in like an hour."
Oh no. I always want, my thing has always been, and it's changed a little bit with Zoom. There was a period where like I knew how long people listened to my podcast, especially on YouTube. And I was like, and my rate of attrition was like the longer the podcast, the more people stuck around.
Yeah.
And I would say to people, I don't want people to think we didn't get along. Because I don't, like, if I did an hour at the time, you remember this back in the day, if you did an hour, then it was like, "Oh, it wasn't a good podcast. He bailed."
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want people to think I didn't like you. And it happened with Steve Bert, like a lot of my good friends where I was like, and it just was like the podcasting I was into at the time was Rogan, right? I did 5.5 hours on Rogan one time.
Yeah.
And it's like you come in.
Excuse me. Didn't you do an 8-hour podcast at some point?
Yeah. I've been like, and so I look back, I regret those because those ones were not sober and I don't know what I said. Like I look back and I go, I just talk shit to fight with my friends sometimes.
Yeah.
And I go, I don't know what the fuck I said. But like I always wanted them to go over an hour, especially in person ones. I feel like the conversation gets good. I feel like, especially these days, conversation is good. And then ultimately with every comic, we end up talking about cancel culture because it's such a hot button topic. And then I always want to get out of that and then keep going about like fun stuff for us. I just want it to be fun for us. And I don't get to hang out with a lot of people. So for me, I go, this is great. I get to fucking hang out with you for 3 hours and bullshit with you. And
I remember the first time, like, I didn't expect that. So I showed up, I was like, I have an hour and a half. And you're like, no, we normally do 3 hours. And I had to like bail early.
Oh, totally. But I totally
and
fine.
I felt terrible.
I just always want people, I want the people listening to the podcast to fall in love with people. Because I'm still the mentality. It's that wrestling mentality. I got put over by Rogan. Joe put me over. Tommy put me over. Bill put me over. Marin put me over. Those guys would have you on the podcast. They had a huge podcast at the time. You do them, and then all of a sudden you like get some fans. Yeah. And I was always like, that's fucking the coolest thing you can ever do. Bobby Kelly pointed that out to me. And he was like, man, I shouldn't. But Bobby's like, if we had someone in LA like Rogan that could put you over, then we'd have a lot of bigger careers out here. And I was like, I never saw it that way. And then I was like, I want to make sure people are in the best light. So if people wanted to drink, people wanted to smoke, whatever I wanted, like people want to come in and have a cigar, I go, it'd be like 10 in the morning and Tom Rhodes are rolling. He's like, you want to have a cigar? And I'd be like, in my head, I'd be like, not at all. but I want to have one if you want to have one. Like if you want to have a drink, I want to have a drink.
For sure.
If you want to smoke weed, I want to smoke weed. If you want to talk reckless, I'm never going to shut you down. Yeah. I'm going to laugh along with you. I just want you to have the best time you have. Cause that was Joe's mentality. Is like, come in. And he just was like, I got Heinekens for you. And you're like, oh, I love Heinekens. All of a sudden you're drinking a 6-pack of Heinekens. You're loose and you're all giggling. And you're like, that's what a podcast should be. Yeah. It should be fun as fuck.
Joe Rogan has met me for the first time 9 times.
I've told Joe Rogan the same story for the first time 10 times.
Yeah.
Like I've told him about fighting a bear. On his podcast, I've told him about fighting a bear at least 4 times where he goes, you fought a bear every time. You fought a bear? And I always, every time I go, but you know, he does so much. He has so many people in his face.
I'm not mad about it at all.
No, I don't think I've talked to other people who said that. And I go, it's just the one time that all of a sudden it clicks and he goes, oh shit, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I remember I did a spot at the main room.
Yeah.
And which is rare for me. And Joe Rogan came back to the green room and asked my girlfriend at the time, was like, is he new? I was just like, no, not at all.
I would have just rolled with it. I remember talking to someone one time who was like, hey man, this is a good friend of Joe's now. He was like, hey man, you got to introduce me to Joe. You got to introduce me to Joe. And I was like, that's not how that works. Like, I can't just go, it's like he's a real person, you're a real person, we're all real people in this business that is very real, and there's no like fucking thumbs upping someone. It's like, and I was like, you're fucking hilarious, man. Like Joe's gonna see you do stand up, and he's gonna go like one day, and he goes, but he's seen me. I go, ignore it. I go, fucking ignore it. Like, yeah, he's seen a lot of people. One day he'll be done his show, he'll take a hit of weed, he'll sit in the back, he's gonna see you and go, you're the funniest fucking guy in the world. Man, sure enough, like 2 weeks later, it happened, and I wanted to say to him, I was like, "Hey, can you say thank you to me?" Like I could have made the most awkward conversation happen with him, but
you're welcome.
I literally said to him, "Can you tell me I know more than you do?" I said that to him. I go, "Tell me I know more than you. I know more than you do." And he was like, "But dude, without a fucking doubt, you are one of the funniest dudes working." And I by the way, I have a very short list of guys that I go, there's 2 lists. There's guys that are killing it in the business. There's guys that are killing it on podcasts. There's guys that are selling themselves well. And then there's straight up comics that fucking murder. Guys that legit have the craft down. Those are the people ultimately that I fucking hang my hat on at the end of the day, where I go, that's who I respect. Guys where I go, that's a masterful story. I love podcasting. I love social media. I love all that shit. But when it comes in the day, whew, you tell that story of bringing that dude, that pitcher guy back to your house.
Oh, Verlander.
Oh, dude, and I'm crying, laughing, going, that's one of the best stories I've ever heard.
Man,
and the fact that I'm sitting back there, and I'm a pretty good storyteller. The fact that I'm sitting in the back going like, God damn it, man, you're not using tricks. Like, you're not using the tricks that I see people use. I know the tricks. I don't want to call the people out on the tricks, but I know the tricks. And when I hear the trick, you lose me. You lose me totally.
For sure.
If this isn't original and real, the hard work, the uphill battle is making a story original, real, and your own thing where people go, God damn it, that's a good fucking story. I think of that story so often. I think of that, and then you that same night going, all right, I hung out with my buddy. He told me there's some jokes that he hasn't heard me tell in a while, and I'm going to tell him tonight. I don't normally do this. And everyone started going, fucking Taco Bell. And you were like, and the look on your face, and you looked over the corner in Omaha and you were like, shut the fuck up, for real? And do
you know where I got that? Also, I stole that.
You told me about this. You stole that from
John Panette.
Yeah.
I don't feel bad about it because I'm not stealing a joke. I'm just stealing a setup.
Dude, yeah, fucking.
But when I was a host, Ian Bagg was the feature, and John Panette was the headliner. Columbus, Ohio.
What a murderous lineup.
That's to date, probably one of the best lineups I've ever been a part of.
Yeah.
John Panette would do 45 minutes of brand new material that would devastate.
Oh.
And then he would say, I have some friends in town that asked me to do an old bit. I don't normally do it anymore. Here it is. And he would do the killer whale buffet joke. There wasn't a friend at, anybody in Columbus, but it was just a way. He was like, I know you want to hear this, so here it is. And he did it. And I was like, there's no better way to get into a bit than that you don't do anymore than that.
I wouldn't be shocked if I stole that every now and then.
Dude, and I don't think John would be mad about it because it's just a way to frame a bit that you've already written.
Yeah.
And it was, so look, man, I've been doing this shit since I was 19 years old. And it's just, it means the world to me that when people like you or anybody think that I'm in that echelon.
Oh, you're what, 1%? Like, I mean, for real, no joke. Watching you stand up's one of my favorite things. And that's a short list for me. There's a lot of people that are big names that I just tap out and I go,
Yeah. One of the biggest compliments I ever had was watching Rich Voss on might have been your podcast.
Yeah.
My name came up and he was like, I watched his whole set at a dirty at 12:30. So that means I didn't even go on to 1:15.
Yeah. So
if Rich stuck around till 2, watch me, like that's one of the biggest compliments I've ever received.
Especially those guys, like those hard knock New York dudes who've seen it all and they're so bitter. Like they're so like, fuck that guy.
Dude, one of the greatest compliments I've had in my career, twice. Once David Attell. Sorry.
By the way, interchangeable for me. Dave Chappelle and a David Attell compliment. I'll take either or.
David Attell I can tell you to this day, I was driving across the Golden Gate Bridge, heading into San Francisco. David Attell called me. He goes, hey, did I steal these 2 jokes from you? Yeah.
It's a great compliment.
And then, where was I going with this? Second one was fucking Rich Voss being like, I watched his whole set.
Yeah,
no, I'm sorry. Let's back up. Nick DiPaolo.
Yeah.
His Lounge Lizards special was the first special that my friends and I in high school quoted to each other.
So inside baseball. No one listening to this that's my favorite thing about this podcast. His Lounge Lizards, and I go, I know the set the set you're talking about.
It was like the first 30-minute special of Comedy Central.
Yep.
His Lounge Lizards was the first special that my friends and I remember being at a fucking convenience store in Lenexa, Kansas, and a dude smiled and he had no teeth. And my buddy dropped a fucking Nick DiPaolo line about like sleeping on a Heineken bottle or something.
I've quoted that special. I've quoted that special to Nick.
For sure. And so, like to the point where when I finally got to open for Nick DiPaolo at Stanford & Sons in Kansas City in Westport, I asked him to do a bit and then he did it and he didn't even know why. He goes, "Why did I do that bit?" I go, "Because I asked you to."
Yeah.
But I remember walking off stage after my first set in Kansas City, opening for Nick DiPaolo, my dream gig at the time.
Yeah.
And Nick DiPaolo going, "Great set." And I was like, "Thanks, man." He goes, "You want to open for me?" Or no, he goes, "Do you like opening for me?" And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Good, because it's never going to fucking happen again."
I was about to say that the first one was like, that doesn't sound like Nick. I go, the second one, that's fucking
so
Nick.
he goes,
That's fucking definitely Nick.
I was fucking heartbroken. I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "Man, I've been doing comedy for 14." At the time, he was like, "I've been doing comedy for 15 years.
Yeah.
I don't need to fucking follow you every night."
Fucking work.
Yeah. He's like, no. He's like, "You're an amazing comic. This is the last week we'll ever work together." And to this day, if I see Nick DiPaolo, he's like fucking Chris Porter. Doug Stanhope, same way. He went on Rogan and blamed me for the worst week he's ever had in stand-up comedy.
Oh, I can see that.
And to the point where he even quoted the jokes he made about me. Like he's Chris Portier, because he did a joke about New Texas. Like we were going to take over France and call it New Texas.
Yeah.
And which, by the way, I think is a joke I stole off the Tonight Show, to be fair. Not the France part, but the New Texas part I definitely stole.
Yeah.
And I remember we were in Miami. I did the Def Jam show the night before because Gary Menke was still my booker at the time.
Yeah.
So he just looked at it. He goes, "You need to be there Tuesday." So I show up Tuesday night and they're like, "Yeah, we don't need you till Thursday." Tuesday and Wednesday are Def Jam shows.
Oh, shit.
And I'm just young enough and yet achieved enough to where I was like, "Yeah, I'll do Def Jam shows, no problem." So Tuesday night, they don't let me up. Wednesday night, they let me go up and I kill it.
Yeah.
That was still when I was doing the Greyhound. Did you ever hear about the Greyhound?
No.
I would walk him on stage to a Notorious B.I.G. song and go, "Let's get naked." And I'd take off my shirt and I was super skinny. Yeah. And I go, and no one would take off their clothes and it would get weird and the music would stop. And I go, "All right, well, here's my impression of a Greyhound." And I get up on the stool and suck in my gut and all the ribs would show. I'd look like a Greyhound. It would destroy.
Fucking, yeah.
They're like, "Hey, this kid's going to be here tomorrow night." So literally, like, I'm not kidding, like 20, 30 people from the Def Jam show up and watch me go up and I destroy again. And then Doug goes up and does his show. And it's
very different.
Very different. And people start walking out. And I'm like, meanwhile, I'm crying laughing. Like, this day, Doug Stanhope's my favorite stand-up comedian.
Doug Stanhope, the way he does stand-up is such an interesting, like his last special, and I don't know. I just watched him run it at the store. One of my favorite. He would take a bit that would seem like a tried and true kind of borrowed, boring bit, and he would just reinvent it in a way. Louis did that. Louis and him are the two guys where they would take something where you were like, "For real?"
Yeah.
And then go, "What the fuck?"
For sure. And like I would laugh. I was crying laughing. And then people were walking out going like, "You're so much funnier than this guy." And even at the time I was like, "Y'all don't know comedy."
I've been that guy where you're sitting in the meet and greet and they're like, "You're fucking hilarious. That guy sucks." And you're like, "You're not really a big, you don't know anything."
No, you just don't know.
And you're like, "Maybe I need to change the way I do it."
You literally just watched Miles Davis and you say it's terrible.
I remember people doing that with me and Louis and they're like, "You're funny. That guy's not funny." And I was like, "Ooh, I'm not doing it right then."
Yeah, 100%.
I think I'm a little hacky is what you might have just said to me.
Dude, stand-up's first night when I opened for him in Miami, he literally just put his CDs in a box and left them in the lobby to see if anyone would just take one.
Stanhope definitely He had a joke that was probably 20 years old that I heard and I started giggling at the other night, and I went, "Yeah, Stanhope's my."
You can listen to Sicko today, and that album's probably 18 years old at this point.
Stanhope is. I will say this: he's one of my favorite human beings alive. I would
100%.
I would say that he is. I don't talk to him a lot.
Nope.
But when I do, we catch up like best friends.
He used to call me drunk and be like, "Hey man, I just want you to know that I love you."
We should call Stanhope right now. That's a good way to let's have one more drink.
Okay.
We'll kill the bottle.
Can I pee?
Yeah, go pee.
All right, where's that at?
Right back there. I'm gonna call and check on my brisket.
Okay, cool.
Can I tell you, I love being in love with my wife. Like, I'm very lucky in that I didn't plan on being in love with her.
Yeah,
I just met her and I thought she was cool. And like little things she did I thought were neat and I was interested in. The way I wasn't with other women. Like, she wanted to watch Philadelphia Story and make brownie sundaes one time. And I was like, exactly. That's what I thought. I was like, what the fuck? And then she was like, come on. And I was like watching it. And I was like, oh, I'd never watched an old movie before. And then I looked at everything in my wife's room and I was like, oh, my wife kind of lives like an old lady. Like, she's got old people shit, like a quilt. And and I was like, oh, this makes sense. And then like certain things, like she loved, one of my biggest hiccups with her was she loved watching America's Funniest Home Videos. And I could not watch it. As a comic, I was like, I'm funny, but that's like bullshit funny.
Yeah.
And boy, I watched one episode and I was crying, laughing.
Dude, you can't beat it.
It's amazing. It's Jackass. It's ridiculousness. It's Tosh.0. It's all of it way ahead of its time. And I sometimes look at her and I go, I think to myself, I can't believe I still love you. Like that I'm like this into you, or that like when she goes, I go, hey, can you pick me up? She goes, like the idea that it's so crazy.
Yeah. The last two girls I've dated were the first two where I was like, oh, I could literally spend my life with you. And they were like, no, we're good.
Yeah. I've had a lot of those.
Yeah.
I've probably had a lot of chicks that I was like I know one, I can name 3 right now. One was in 8th grade. I was like, I could spend my life with you. And now I look and I go, I was like, I probably could have still spent my life with you. I just don't know who the fuck you are.
No, mine were literally in the last 3 years.
Really?
Yeah.
You think you get married?
Yeah, I hope so.
Kids?
Yeah.
You'd be a great dad.
I think so.
You'd be a great dad.
For the longest time, I was like, as a traveling comic, it's literally your worst fear.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you don't want to have to go to Evansville, Indiana more than you need to. And then I met one girl and I was like, no, I'd put a kid in you immediately. And
that was mine. Put a kid in someone. I can do that a lot easier than I can commit.
I literally offered a girl a baby 3 months ago.
When we got pregnant with Georgia, I don't know exactly when, but I remember that period being very cool with it and being like, if she gets pregnant, I have no problem with that. I actually was like, I hope she gets pregnant before I ask her to marry me.
Yeah.
And George, by the way, Georgia doesn't know. I shouldn't put this on. This is bad. Georgia doesn't know that we were pregnant before we got married with her.
She's done that math. There's no way because my dad, and this was 1954 when my dad was born. My mom, my grandma, my grandpa had like a big meeting and she was like, and my grandma was sobbing. And she goes, Scott, you were conceived before wedlock. And Dad's like, yeah, I figured that out like fucking
Georgia has
3 years ago.
Georgia has never figured it out. Isla one time was like, wait. And we were like, just passed through it.
Anyway.
I remember being so excited to have Georgia. I remember being so excited.
Dude, I remember. So the girl, there's one in particular that I was like, oh, this is the one.
Yeah.
And then she was like, and then she called me and she was like, I'm worried about getting the vaccine because it might affect my ability to conceive. And I was like, I'll give you a fucking baby right now. And then
I'll put one in right now.
Like, and it was the first, like, even as the words came out of my mouth, I was like, why? Like, are you sure? Because until that woman, really,
Yeah.
I was like, it was the biggest fear I've ever had.
I wonder if I could have gotten, I would love to make a list of people I would have gotten pregnant. Just like if you could just get people pregnant and just be like, I want to have a baby with this person.
Do you want to hear the conversation I had? Because
Yeah.
I saved it because I'm trying to make it a bit.
Oh,
actually.
I would love to.
So I was basically like, because Zach Meyer's kids are some of the coolest kids on the planet.
Adorable. By the way, he let us, you got to give a shout out to Zach Myers. He let us stay at his house.
Yeah.
When we were on the road, he knew what it was like being on the road. And he was like, pull your tour bus in. We got to hook up. Everything's there. And he set us up. He was like, I got steaks in the freezer. Here's my shoe place. Feel free to Instagram from it. Like, It was fucking the greatest.
Dude, Zach Myers, how we met, he reached out to me on Twitter and was like, hey man, I'm the guitarist for this band that you barely heard of. Because at that point, but also like, that's not my style of music. And
I watched them play live. It was
they're
awesome.
They're literally the greatest
awesome.
band I've ever seen play live. And anywho, we went to breakfast. He was like, hey man, I'm a big fan. I think we'd have fun hanging out. And like after one breakfast, I was like, I've known you for 30 years.
He's a very gregarious person in that he doesn't have a lot of walls up, and he lets you know that. And he goes, and just so you know, I'm not cool with walls. I can be a friend. You want to be friends? Let's be friends.
Yeah.
And this is how friends should work. And
but also, if I don't like you, I'm going to tell you immediately.
Yeah, but he's a very fucking solid dude.
His children are very Southern children. Very like, may I have this? How are you, Mr. Chris? Blah, blah, blah. So I'd been working for like 8 weeks straight, and I had a weekend off. I was like, Zach, I'm coming to see you. He's like, yeah, no problem. So I text this girl. I go, I've been hanging with Zach's kids all weekend, and I'd like to renew my offer to have a baby with you. And she goes, send me a picture of you as a baby. And I sent her 3 solid ones. Like, look at like this one. I'm fucking
good looking, sharp dressed kid.
One, I have a cigarette dangling out of my mouth. Yeah. It's not lit. It's 1979. No one gives a shit. She goes, what'd she say?
Send me some pics of your sister now.
She goes, not cute enough. Sorry. And I was like, because I know she's lying. I know when people are lying. I was like, you shouldn't lie just to hurt somebody. I go, I'm cute as fuck in these photos. I know it. You know it. America knows it. She said, but if I haven't cued that kid, it'll be kidnapped. I'll be fucking devastated. I was like, you can't live in fear. And then she was like, you'll lose your kid because you get high all the time. And I was like, not for long. Everybody, even sober parents lose their kids.
Yeah.
Like there's shows designed around that. Anyway, so she was like, I'm going to have a kid with my best friend because like it won't be difficult. Like it won't be weird. And I said, well, have fun with your ugly ass kid.
I would love to have like 4 more kids with women I don't know yet. But
also
Leanne doesn't want kids. More kids. I get it. I totally get it.
You have 2?
I have 2. I would love to have had 2 extra ones.
That's so weird because it's usually the opposite. Usually the mom wants more kids and the dad's like, I fucking put enough in you.
No. What are the odds Stanhope has FaceTime?
What are the odds Stanhope's still awake?
He's awake. I spelt it wrong. Doug Stanhope does not have FaceTime.
There's no way.
He does not have FaceTime. How the fuck is that? He's got Skype. Who the fuck has Skype and not FaceTime? All right.
And it's blue.
We'll wrap it up. We'll call Stanhope. He'll definitely answer.
You're on live with Tracy, Olivia Grace, and Dave Rader. Hello.
You're on live with Bert Kreischer and Chris Porter.
Chris Porter.
Hey, buddy, I love you.
We're drinking tequila, and we're telling stories about you and how we love you as a comic and as a person. Hey, did you hear Ron White quit drinking?
Yeah.
Really?
Was that a health thing or?
Like, he did, like, according to Rogan, and Rogan didn't ask any follow-up questions that I would have, because he went to the doctor, and the doctor said, you got to put the brakes on this. So he went to Costa Rica and did 2 ayahuasca fucking treatments and was sober for 60 days.
Wow.
Holy shit.
Doug, have you ever done ayahuasca?
Yeah, once with Rogan. And
Jesus.
it didn't work.
By the way, I had so many fucking questions about this. I didn't know that. Who did I just talk to today? And they're like, yeah, Ron White quit drinking. And I was like, Joey Diaz. I didn't know that it was like doctors like, you got to put the brakes on.
Yeah, I had just talked to Jordan Zevon, who I've like known through social media, Warren Zevon's kid.
Yeah.
And I remember he sent me a picture of Pop-Up vodka and saying, hey, I'm with you with the Pop-Up vodka. And I'd never talked to him in real life. And I asked him the other day to be on the podcast. He goes, yeah, I'm probably not interesting anymore because I had to quit drinking. But here's my number. And I called him. I go, I'll tell you if you're interesting or not. And he went through this whole, like, it was a 45-minute phone call that would have been a perfect podcast.
Oh my God.
Fucking cirrhosis. Like,
All right. I gotta end this conversation. We're drinking tequila right now, and I'm gonna end up thinking about this in the middle of the night. My liver levels are good right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we went through that, like how much he drinks. Like, but he was the guy that leaving Las Vegas, waking up, drinking to get the shakes off, and then drinking throughout. Like, he was not sober ever.
Oh, I spend at least 50% of my day sober, I think.
What's your go-to drink nowadays, Doug?
My go-to is always vodka soda splash of grapefruit, but I do like to close on a fat-free White Russian, free milk White Russian.
Well, can I just say that I miss you and I love you?
I love you too, Chris Potter.
All right, we're gonna finish these drinks. We just wanted to call and tell you we love you.
Do you know the Chris Porter story about that was the genesis of that nationalism bit, was following him in Miami?
No.
And he was doing this fuck the French bit, and I'm like, yeah, like we saved our ass. Like that was in defiance of fucking Chris Porter.
Oh, he told me about Miami.
Yeah. But that was the bit that became the bit that's the national. Like, I don't think I have a more memed tweet than the nationalism bit, which was, inspired by Chris Porter.
You're welcome.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're wrapping this up. I love you. I miss you. I'll talk to you later.
Same here, buddy.
Love you, bye.
Bye. Fucking Doug Stanhope. If you told me when I started this business I'd be friends with Doug Stanhope, I'd be a very happy fucking comedian.
Dude, the fact that I have Chris Robinson's cell phone number
is fucking insane.
Because there was no one that was.
I just did a podcast with his ex-wife.
Allison?
No, the other one. Wasn't he married
Kate?
to? Yeah. Kate Hudson.
Yeah. Kate's
I just did a
super
podcast with Kate Hudson and Oliver Hudson, sibling rivalry, whatever.
So Kate is super cool, and her and Chris were super cool.
Yeah, she had mentioned it, and I was like, she's like my ex and I know who your ex is.
Kate's super cool. Like, she shows up. They'll show up to, like, the last thing was at the Wiltern, As the Crow Flies, which was Chris's Black Crowes cover band, basically.
Yeah.
And I brought my agent with me, who's a huge Crows fan, TJ.
Yeah.
And
Buckwalter?
Yeah.
Love TJ Buckwalter.
He's literally
one of my favorite dudes in the business.
One of the greatest people on the planet.
One of the greatest dudes in the business has gotten more raw deals than anyone in this business.
For sure. But also is like, he couldn't be happier.
He's the sweetest guy in the fucking world. I love TJ.
For sure.
I love TJ.
I brought him with me, and all of a sudden, Kurt Russell, Goldie Hawn, Kate Hudson, and Oliver, they all show up, and the vibe of the whole place changes. And I just remember at one point, Kurt Russell was like literally just blocking a doorway. And I sat there for a good literal 5 minutes, like waiting for him to move. And then I just finally grabbed him by the shoulders and moved him. and you would have thought I was assaulting you. Like, he gave me a look like, the fuck are you doing? I was like, hey man, I'm just trying to get to the joint. Like I know where the joint is. So
Kurt Russell, Oliver Hudson is one of my favorite dudes to talk to. Like really, I did him and Joe Buck did my podcast, and then I did a podcast with him and his sister, and I really got along with that dude. And I was like,
he's a straight, like as much success and fun as he's had, he's just a regular dude.
And fun and fucking cool and funny. I really like that guy. I chose to do. It's out of my comfort zone to do a podcast with my sisters. I look like an abuser because I overtalk people. And if it's my sisters and I just look misogynistic, and I was like, no, I'd do it because I like Oliver that much. And I didn't know. I mean, I knew Kate did the podcast with him, but you know, she's like,
huge.
Yeah, and I was
Superstar.
like, and she was like, fucking do a podcaster. She was like a legit podcaster. I was like, fuck yeah. It was great, man.
Dude, even when Kate comes and hangs out at those Crows things and the Chris Robinson things, she's just another chick, man. Like all the vibe is cast by other people.
Yeah.
But she's literally like, hey man, what's up? How are you?
Yeah.
Like she's the coolest girl in the world.
Well, cheers, brother. Thank you for doing this with me.
Dude.
This has been a blast.
This has been, because you know, the first time I fucked it up. So to be able to do the like, let's hang out for a couple hours and drink it up has been huge.
We'll wrap this up. I'll go show you my gym and my sauna.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Awesome, brother. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was great.